we just crack on with the
Uh,
podcast, or do you want to have a little
no,
chat first?
no, one thing.
That sounds like a fridge. Good
It's
lad.
mine.
What you got? Ah, yes. Was it you that sent me them? It was
It
you that
was.
sent me them. Yes, they were nice. They were really nice beers. Vocation, is that right?
That's right. Life and
Yeah.
death.
Yes, very nice that. Right.
Kick
Well,
your
I've
ass.
drunk them. Thank you very much. I'm on
Well,
these again. Slang, cheers to
oh,
your health.
not sponsored.
No.
Keep trying.
Awesome. Right,
I
folks,
think
welcome back to Brew Time. This week, we've got Marc Kent. For those not familiar with Marc has a YouTube channel, a motorcycle YouTube channel called Epic Motorcycle Adventures. So make sure you check that out once you've listened or watched the podcast. So, dude, how's everything going? Everything good?
Yes, mate. Yeah, it's been the last couple of weeks since I did the ACT videos. That's been. I really enjoyed that edit, and and sometimes you like some edits are hard work, and some of them you just like feel it, and you just feel like you're actually still there.
Yeah,
that was how it felt when I was redoing it, and like the emotions were still there. So it's like I'm still buzzing off that whole trip still. So yeah, it was a great time. Great time.
I'm well gel actually, because that's something I'm planning to do. Well, I was going to be doing it next month, but it's probably likely going to be October, possibly even November now. I'm not sure. It's just getting pushed back and back and back. Just I really fancy doing it. I think I'm doing it with the TAM podcast lads, but it's just getting pushed back and back and back. So I've watched the first episode. We'll get on to the ACT. I want to chat to you about that. I've watched the first episode, and I've watched about the first couple of minutes today of episode 2, but I will finish it. I will do there's 3, isn't there? Is that right? 3 episodes.
3 so far, and then episode 4, the final day goes live on Saturday this week.
Beautiful. Right. Well, folks, it's well worth watching. The ACT, we'll cover it later in the podcast, but it's like the tech-based or more based around the modern big adventure bikes. So, your GSs, your Multistradas, Tigers, all that sort of stuff, Africa Twins. And it's all around Europe, isn't it? But there's one here in the UK, a stretch here in the UK. So we will cover it, I promise you.
Yes,
so, Marc, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
I'm Marc. I ride motorbikes and I fall off a lot. Standard. Especially if you're riding off-road, it's part. It doesn't count when you crash off-road, does it?
No, not at all. It just means that you're trying hard, that's all.
Yeah, or you're small like me. I've been riding bikes for a little while now. So I'm a little bit older than you. I've been riding bikes since I'm 6. I had a little dabble at racing 2-strokes, like a Yamaha RD400 in the early stock championships when I was 18 years old. But lack of money and probably more likely a lack of talent stopped that. And obviously that age, you sort of get interested in girls and beer, don't you? So that fell by the wayside, and I just rode motorbikes, did my work, my careers and stuff like that. And then I just, for some reason, motorbikes. I don't know about you. It's like I've always had loads of hobbies, loads of different hobbies. I was like, I never really stuck to anything apart from motorbikes, and they've always been in my life forever, really. So yeah, that's me. I just like riding motorbikes, and I enjoy making videos and meet people around that whole social side of things. Yeah,
absolutely. Same as me. Yeah, I'm a sort of death or glory type of personality, in that if I take to something, if I decide that this is going to be my thing, then I'm all in. I'm all in on that. So like, I remember about the age of 10 or 11 discovering American football, and it was just like, bang, everything was American football. And I was going to be a middle linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys up until I was about 14, I think. And then, was I 14? Maybe 15? 19, when was 1991 Rugby World Cup? No, I'll tell you when it was. 1990 Grand Slam, Scotland, England at Murrayfield. I remember I watched that on the TV and just thought, what's this? This look, because I didn't know about rugby. We didn't play rugby at my school. And I was just like, what's this game? And that was it. I switched from American football to rugby, and then I was all in at rugby until mid-20s, and then
Yeah.
no, not even mid-20s, early 30s, and then I passed my bike test, and I literally haven't picked up a ball since.
Yeah.
So
Funny
I'm
to
just
say about
bikes.
American football. So yeah, I was into, because American football came onto the scene quite in the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah,
Late
80s.
80s
Yeah.
and 90s, and we used to play at school as well with the rugby boys, and I wanted to
Yeah.
be a quarterback
Yeah.
because I wasn't big enough to be anything
Which one?
else.
Which one?
Oh, Dan Marino,
Oh, yeah,
Miami
Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I had all the gear, no idea.
Did you ever play, like, for real?
No, we just used to muck about on the tennis court. So we had tarmac tennis courts at our school, and
Yeah.
we used to play on there. It was a bit rough and tumble.
Tennis courts? You had tennis courts at your school? Posh.
No, not at all. We didn't. Our school didn't have AstroTurf. It had a dry weather pitch, which was just like gravel.
Uh-huh.
So we used to play hockey on there. And if you missed the hockey ball and caught the gravel, you were getting roosted by gravel. I've still got all the scars on my fingers from then, from getting battered by hockey sticks and gravel and stuff. So good times, though.
I remember there was an American football team started in the town near me. I grew up near a place called Peterhead, right up in the northeast. It's a big fishing port in those days. And Aberdeen is about 30, 35 miles south of there. Obviously, Aberdeen was the mecca of the oil, really, for the UK. So it's full of Americans. And when American football was getting big, they had an American football team there called was it the Aberdeen Oilers, I think they were called? But anyway, they saw that there was a big appetite for it. So they started trying to get youth involved. So there was a team in Peterhead called the Peterhead Polecats. And there was a big thing in the Buckney, the local paper, come and have a tryout for it. So I think I was like 9, 10. I was like, yeah, I'm having that. So I went there and I ended up playing for the Peterhead Polecats as nose tackle, which is like, you know, the guy in the offense who puts the ball between the legs to the quarterback. Yeah. Well, in the defense, you've got a guy that basically goes face to face straight against him, and he's called the nose tackle. So that's the position I got put in, and we had no pads. Like we were a non-padded team, but the one game we did play, we played against people with pads. They didn't have helmets, but they had pads, and it was just I didn't even have gum shields. It's like 10 years old, just got my ass kicked. But anyway, never mind. Anyway, let's get back to motorbikes. So
yes.
When did you get back into motorbikes then? You said you had a little break from it.
Well, sorry, no, I didn't have a break. I sort of raced, and then I realised, obviously, I wasn't ever going to be the first Valentino Rossi because I'm older. So, the next Barry Sheene. I wasn't going to be the next Barry Sheene, but so then I just basically took my bike test and just rode. So from there, so I've always had bikes in my life. There's been a couple of years when I've not had them, like when I was in the Marines. There was a time I didn't have it for a little while because I wasn't at home much. And then I bought one again after I think it was like 2 years of not having a bike. But I've had a bike ever since 2005. Ever since 2005, I had a bike of one shape, size, or the other.
What was your first one for the road then?
So after test, so I had a TZR 125
legal.
Yeah, on that field that we all ride on. So I had a TZR 125 on my L plate bike, and then I passed my test, and I had a Honda NC30, which is a VFR 400, like the baby RC30. Yeah. So I had one of that. I wish I'd have kept it because they're worth a bit of money now. Yeah. So I had that as my first post-test bike. It was a beautiful bike, absolutely beautiful work of art, V4 Honda. Single-sided swing arm, just looked like a Suzuka 8 hour bike back in the day, or a World Superbike back in the day, but smaller. So yeah, I had that, and then when I got rid of that, I had a R1, the second generation R1, like a 2000 plate one. I can't remember, but that was a beast of a bike. So
yeah. Do you know I never rode that one. I rode the first Big Bang. You remember the cross plane or cross plank engine? Was that about 2009 or 2008 that came in?
Yeah, something like that.
So I had a quick shot of one of them, and I just the engine, the noise of that thing was just there was nothing like it at that time, was there? It's just beautiful. Loved it. Right.
Yeah, there's nothing like a cross-plane crank, is it, for the noise?
Yeah. Sounds mint.
Yeah, MT10 and stuff like that.
The only thing that comes close to that is like the TeapotOne V4, that Aprilia V4. That TeapotOne is, for me, I think the TeapotOne is probably the best sounding bike out there.
You had one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was a nightmare to live with, but when it worked, it was sublime. Just looked amazing, handled amazing.
Yeah, I test rode one for a while, and I nearly traded my double R in for one, but I was like, nah.
Now we're going to get onto that, the double R. You mentioned the Marines, so you're a former bootneck, aren't you?
Yes.
How'd you get into that? What put you into the military?
Right. Okay. So I joined the military quite late. I was 27 when I joined. Wow. Sort of like the last sort of age you can get in before they change the rules a little bit. But so I worked when I was 18, I was racing the bikes, and I thought about joining the Marines, and I went for the medical and all that, and then I just got into women and got distracted. And I worked in retail, traveling around the country, helping people or setting up new stores around the country. I'm not going to mention the name of the company or anything, but we traveled around and we just basically taught people how to set up the stores and merchandise everything. But I always had this itch to be a personal trainer, and I could never afford it. I never afford to do it and stuff like that. And I was like, well, what if I go down the military aisle and become somebody in the military, become a PTI in the military, and there you go. So I was thinking about joining the army, and for some reason, Marine commando training is a lot harder than the army, and I've never been the one for taking the easy option. And so I was like, right, I'm going to join the Marines and see where it goes from there. So
at 27.
At 27, yes.
Wow. And did you get in first time?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
that's hardcore. That is no mean achievement. That's not a small achievement. Blimey.
No, I mean, I wouldn't advise joining at that age unless you've got prior military experience, because I've always been into fitness, but I've never really been into cardio. Never been into running. I always like to just lift weights. So I saw a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a K's catalog or something. I was like, I want to look like that. And obviously I didn't know steroids or anything. So anyway, so at 27 years old, you're like the oldest person in the troop, because most of the recruits Marines tend to be a little bit older than Army recruits, like 18 to 19, whereas the Army recruits tend to be like a lot younger, 16. And the thing is, obviously you get on with everybody, you bond and you become buddies and stuff, but at that age, you just heal a lot slower physically than a 17-year-old, because you're not past your prime, but you're not in your prime. So it's I found that I could keep up with them in the gym, like doing the weights and the circuit training. But I struggled because I didn't like running as prior to that. I struggled with the running side of things.
Yeah, and the pounding your body takes when you're doing all that.
Yeah.
How did you find? Well, obviously, I'm not military. I don't have experience of that, but I'm aware that the military process of training recruits into that environment, into that world, is that they break you mentally, physically, and then build you back up. How did you find dealing with that sort of mentality, that approach, when you're a more mature, you're not a kid anymore at 27, are you? You've seen a bit of the world, and you've got a mind about you now. How did you find that?
Well, there's a saying in the Corps, in the Marines, be the grey man. Have you ever come across that saying? Be the grey man.
I know quite a few former bootnecks, and that's
don't stand out. Don't stand out to the training team. And because at that point I'd gone into a managerial role in retail, so I was kind of in charge. or second in command. If the boss wasn't there, I was in charge of running this retail outlet, which was like taking in £1 million a year. So I had a lot of responsibility, and all of a sudden I was nobody again. And it was like when you were told to do something, it's like you have your own opinions, don't you, about things, and sometimes you voice them when you shouldn't.
Yeah. I struggle with this. Yep.
So I did many extra press ups, many extra press ups and once you become known as like, it's not a trouble causer, but once you break out of being the grey man, you kind of not a target. That's the wrong word because it sounds like you've been bullied, but you will.
And that doesn't happen in the military anymore. No.
Character building.
That's right.
Character building. And I've never seen anything untoward happen to anybody. But yeah, so I was not the grey man. And because I was struggling physically with an injury from an early start, I'll talk about that in a moment if you want. I was even more of a target for the training team. At the end of the day, you said about breaking you down, and yeah, they're trying to get rid of the people who are not there for it. It's not in their heart, and you've got to really want to do it because they're trying to train you to do a job, which is obviously potentially to have to kill other people, isn't it? That's what you've been trained for. So
it's an extraordinary role.
Yeah,
in an extraordinary environments that
so
you're going to have to operate in.
Somebody who does things without thinking about it, although you have to think about what you're doing as well. Does that make sense? Otherwise, bad things happen. But you've got to be able to take orders, follow orders, and not question them because you haven't got time to question your leader on the battlefield because that's when people get killed. So I stood out from that, and then eventually I learned to just try and blend in, and got through basic training. So, but yeah, it was tough.
So, obviously you got your beret, and then were you a PT within the Marines then?
No. So through basic training, I mentioned about getting an injury. I fell off the 6-foot wall. So we were having some character building exercise on the bottom field. So anybody who's listening knows, Livingston will know what the bottom field is. And basically there was, I think, 6 or 8 of us. I was one of them. And we were just getting thrashed around the bottom field. And eventually I became exhausted, fell over off the 6-foot wall, landed on my knees, and my left knee was it'd never been the same. And so I struggled with that physically throughout training. So yeah, it was, and I wanted to be a PTI, but to be a PTI in the Marines, you have to do everything that you're training the recruits to do, but better. And one of the things that they would do is like a half marathon every week. And I'm like, again, at that point, I was in my 30s. I was like, if I try and do this, then I'm not going to be a Marine for the rest of my life. I still want to be able to function as a human being. So I was like, do I really want to put myself through that physically to potentially ruin myself? Because I will have a career after the Marines, wherever that was. Obviously, I wanted to be a personal trainer, so I decided not to do it. But I'm glad I did it. I'd never regret joining the Marines to be a PTI, but never getting to do that role because I did the job anyway in civilian life.
So where does that take you to then? When do you come out the military into civil life?
So 2009. So I joined in 2001, left in 2009. Wow. In the September. So it was like May 2001. So I did 8.5 years. And then, I left 2009 to start my own personal training business up in North Devon, and did that for many years before I decided to do something else. Very cryptic.
Can you go into what the something else is? Or no? You don't need to if you don't want to. Don't worry.
Yeah, this is where this interesting story picks up. So 2017, I was thinking about doing something else. I was struggling not mentally with myself, but I had a lot of things going on. And trying to be a personal trainer is like, you're kind of in a way an agony aunt. People are not overweight because they eat too much. It's the eating too much is a symptom or a result of something else that's going on in their life. Maybe they're having struggles, and therefore they seek solace in food. And so you become you're trying to unravel all these problems that people might be having. And I got to the point where I was full of my own problems to try and help people. So, but I'd always, again, going back to when I used to race, I always wanted to race motorbikes. I always wanted to do something with motorbikes. And so I was like, right, okay, why not be a motorcycle instructor? And I was like, the plan was to close my personal training company down, train to be a motorcycle instructor, start my own motorcycle training company up, and also do motorcycle tours. And then so in the back of this, I decided to obviously get qualified as an instructor, started researching stuff online about being a motorcycle tour operator. And this is where I found various companies and some chicken strips or something.
I've heard they're awesome.
I'm like, who's this Bruce guy? So that's how I discovered who you were. Right. So by basically me wanting to set my own tour company up, and then I didn't have any money left, so I didn't do it. And I needed a job, so I basically do something else now. I don't work as a full-time motorcycle instructor, but I drive HGVs Monday to Friday.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I get. I think you contacted me, didn't you? You contacted me about setting up a tour business. I get so many people contacted me about it, and you know, I genuinely think if I didn't have the background that I have, obviously the world trip and all that sort of stuff, and the fact that I've now brought Simon.
The world.
Yeah. And I've now brought Simon Weir on board. You know, like so, I've sort of buddied up with him, and that sort of brings more weight to the actual company, because you've now got me with my following and like my CV, if you like. I know that sounds wanky. And then you've got Simon, who brings his CV to the party as well. And it also now facilitates, basically, I can double the amount of people that I take away. Yeah. So I've gone from taking 6 punters, which didn't really make any money. You know, like, to be perfectly honest, there was a lot of times when it didn't make a profit. You know, I'm eating into my own money to cover all the overheads. Yeah. All of a sudden, once you double it, you can start making some money. It's not great money, but, you know, you can start making a bit of money. So, you know, when people were always asking me, how I want to do this, I want to do that, I was just like, I can't do this full time. So I can't really give you advice on how to do it, because for me, it's not a job. Yeah. Everyone I knew who did that sort of stuff, they were all retired. They didn't do it for the money, you know, other than like Globebusters and Motorrad and, you know, the big companies out there who are charging a lot of money as a full-on professional outfit. Everybody else is generally just doing it for beer money and shits and giggles, because they don't really need the money. So it's a difficult one. It's a difficult world to get into, that for sure. Yeah, definitely. Is that something you still want to do? Do you still have?
Well, I'm a responsible adult now. I've got 2 young children, and so I need a full-time income. And like you just touched on, it's like I don't have a full military pension like some of the people who get into this kind of business do, or they're retired. So I still need to make a full-time income to bring up 2 young children. But you never know what the future holds. So I'm sort of like, I'm open to it when it's time, but I'm not searching to do it. I'm not looking into it. I'm not researching it anymore. It's like, that's where my Epic Motorcycle Adventures website name came from, was the fact that I was going to call the tour company that. But I don't know. You never know. Watch this space.
Definitely. As you get more miles under your belt in life, you sort of realize this, don't you? That life's just got a funny way of dealing you different hands. Some are good, some are fucking horrible at times, you know, and you just have to deal with a hand that life deals you at that point. You know, whatever hand you're dealt with, get on, crack on, sort it out, just deal with that and see where it takes you.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in, like, we're all dealt a hand, aren't we, in life? And it's up to us to play the best with the cards that we've been given.
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's dealt a perfect life. And even the rich and famous, that they've got things that are going on that nobody ever knows about to deal with. And so a lot of people look up to famous people and rich people and they think, oh, I wish I was like that. But you don't know what they're dealing with inside. And so we've just got to concentrate on ourselves and play our best hand with the cards that we've got. And it will get you a long way, I think. Personally,
yeah, definitely. So, something I'm realizing is, like, I think it's down to you as an individual to identify opportunities, and then because I think a lot of the time, you know, things can happen. Like, I'm just trying to think on my feet here off the top of my head. I'll just think, all right, COVID arrived, right? COVID arrived literally a month after I went full time. So my plan was before COVID was TeapotOne was going to be me going full time with the videos and also with my tours with chicken strips, and I'd be traveling, I'd be meeting people. Yeah, awesome. Let's just crack on. I'd like a year's worth of savings behind me. So I was like, right, I can do this for a year. Let's see how we go. Bang, COVID. Straight away, I think I had 4 or 5 sponsors, and I think I lost 3 in the first week, 2 weeks of COVID on the horizon. It was just like, holy shit. I had a bit of Patreon, but not a massive Patreon following, you know, and it was just like, what the fuck am I going to do here? You know, so you just have to, it would have been very easy, I think, for somebody just to go, oh, can't deal with this. I need to get a proper job. You know, ditch that. We've got to get a proper job. But, you know, you sort of, you focus, you take a couple of deep breaths, you figure out some sort of plan and you go for it, and it either works or it doesn't work. And something I'm realizing as the weeks turn into months, into years now, but going self-employed, is that this dream that you live, it only ever stops when you decide it's over. You know what I mean? I'm well aware that next month my Patreon could nosedive, the videos could nosedive. Nobody buys merch now anyway, so I've not really got the merch income. Something might happen next year, so the tours are all kicked in the nuts and I won't have the tour income. I'm well aware that might be around the corner. So, you know, I might have to go and get a proper job for next year, but you deal with that when it comes, don't you? Because there's no point in like putting all your focus and energy on what might happen. Deal with what's going on and make the best out of that.
For sure. So, I mean, when I was a personal trainer, I was self-employed for 10 years, and personal training is a very seasonal occupation. People want to get fit after Christmas, New Year, so you're busy. Yeah. And then people want to get fit and ready for the beach season in the summer. And it's like, in the between times, it fluctuates up and down. It's like, that's one of the reasons why I got out of that. It's like, I needed a stable income. But the thing is, you can have all these plans, like you said, you can put all these plans, but there's a massive saying in the military, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And if we dilute that into civvy street, it's like, shit happens. And your plans, best laid plans, might not work out for you. So another military saying, I feel like I'm going to be quoting all the military quotes now, is improvise, adapt, and overcome. It's like, take what you've got, take what you know, how can you make that plan work in a different scenario? And I kind of felt for motorcycle content creators during COVID, because you couldn't go out and ride your bikes. Whereas in the fitness industry, they were just doing home workouts and Zoom workouts, and they grew their businesses massively, their online presence massively. Whereas people like you and I, we couldn't go out on motorbikes. There's only so many garage tours you can do.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
How to clean your bike, how to clean your boots.
How to clean your helmet.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Talking of videos then, motorcycle videos, how did you get into YouTube? How did that all start? Was that purely to promote the training and the tours, or was it just something that you wanted to do? Oh, it was, right.
So originally my website was called Great Motorcycle Routes, and the plan was to, oh God, there is one like Best Biking Roads or something. There's another one, isn't there now, or something? Was to do a route, plan a route, post it onto the website, and then ride it, and so people could see it, and then they would get that information for free. So that's how it started, and the videos all just started with me with the GoPro on the double, my first double R, and I didn't say anything. It was just the music, and then it'd be like Llanberis Pass in Wales, and like the point A and point B on a Google map, and that's how it all started. And then I started adding a camera and chat bagging away as you do.
So, complicated matters.
Yeah, audio, it's a bitch.
Absolutely. That's basically, you're probably spitting now, but that's basically what our plan was with myself and Simon Weir. I had him on the podcast the first time, and after it, I was like, you've got all these routes. We could put these on video, and so we've started. We've actually filmed about 6 or 7. I think I've only actually edited 3 so far. They're in. Sorry, Simon. They are in the list. A massive, huge list now that I have to try and wade through over the winter. But that's eventually that's our plan, is to try and commit all his routes onto video so people have that sort of visual library, if you like, for it.
I mean, even you got to look at it as well. Some people, like, again, coming from a personal training background, is like a lot of trainers will be so reluctant to share information, to feel like they're giving secrets away about how to get fit, etc. It's like you could look at what you're planning on doing with a closed mind and saying, well, if I do that, people won't come on my tours. Yeah. Because you just shared all the information. But at the end of the day, people come on your tours for you and Simon and the experience. Going on a road ride by yourself is a lot different to going out on a road ride with a bunch of strangers versus going on a road ride with a bunch of friends. So it's all good marketing. And so, you should definitely get your finger out and get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. But, when I do my tour vids and even like the local rides with Simon, I put up place names. I'll even put like on the Simon ones, I think I even put a little map up at the start just to show you a rough outline of the route, and I'll give road names, road numbers on my tours. So, like, if you want to do the route, you can just sit there with a map and just go, okay, right, bang is there, bang they're there, bang they're there, bang they're there. The route's there. You know what I mean? And I still get messages and DMs off of people going, can you send me the GPX file for that route? And it's just like, part of me is like, you cheeky bugger, because, like Simon, because Simon has invested 25 years of his life into researching all these routes. That's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of commitment to go through all of them and figure out the best ones of the lot. And it's like, just, it costs 99p, I think, to download one of his routes off his website. And it's like, you cannot just give the bloke 99p and you can have it. It's there.
Simon's not going to get that full 99p either, because some of it's going to be taken away in the whatever shopping cart he uses, PayPal or whatever. But essentially, I think people are lazy. And like you say, all that information's there. And if you say no, you feel like you're a bad person, because generally speaking, I'm not a bad person. I feel like I'm a good person. I give out as much information about everything as I can. I try and help people out as I can. But if it's cost me money to do it, why should I send it to you for free? Was my thought process. Especially if I don't know you. If you just inbox me and you're like, can you send me the routes for so-and-so? And I'm like, especially if and
they don't even say please. People don't even say please.
But anyway, let's not dwell on them people.
Just like, people, I always say this, people can be amazing. People can be, I've seen it, people can just really restore your faith in humanity, but they can also be thick as mint sometimes, can't they? Like some people, you're just like, how do you even put your clothes on in the morning? You know, you get two extremes, don't you?
Yeah.
Anyway. So back to bikes. You mentioned the RR. So
Yes.
you were a sports bike fiend. Obviously, you discovered the RR. What happened there?
Yeah. So backstory in a little bit. Like I say, I wanted to be the next Barry Sheen. I wanted to race bikes. Freddie Spencer was a hero. Kevin Schwantz, Wayne Rainey. That era, I grew up in watching the bike racing. So then I had the the NC30, the R1, and then I was walking through Linton and Limmer, so North Devon. You've been up there,
yeah. Ice cream, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and I saw this black because I hadn't read a bike mag. I don't read the bike magazines because I felt like there was a point where I felt like I was reading the same information all the time.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, and I was walking through the car park, and I was like, what is that? I was like, because I saw this bike from afar, and I was like, what the F is that? And I got closer, and it had the BMW Roundel on it. I was like, what the fuck? Because all I knew was BMW made quirky bikes. Again, I wasn't into BMWs. I was into Japanese motorcycles because they made the fast ones.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Google, and it's like, right, okay. Then Google nearest Motorrad dealership, phoned and booked a test ride, and I ordered one that day back in 2011. I was like in Thunder Metallic Grey, they called it.
Yeah.
Essentially black. But yeah, and that's where that journey started. So I know you've rode the Gen 4 one. We'll talk about that if you want later.
Yeah.
I had the Gen 1.
Kind of brought me down this path. Yeah.
I had the Gen 1 RR, Thunder Metallic Grey. Absolutely phenomenal bike because, that engine is just, everything they say about it is just true. It's absolutely banzai for an inline 4-cylinder. It's got torque. It's got that top end rush. And then it goes around corners.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the first one.
It was big and chunky, but it was like,
I couldn't get on it. Yeah, I just couldn't get on with the bike.
But which is bizarre. But yeah, like I say, I just loved it. I adored it, and it was everything about that bike, the shape of it. It was like, the reason why I bought the R1 that I had is because it looked like a 500cc Grand Prix bike from when I was growing up. It was the shape, and I didn't even, if that RR was a 600cc bike, I still would have bought it because I bought it for how it looked. It's just something about the way it looked, and then obviously it is what it is. It's a phenomenal bike. And then 2 years later, I get a phone call from the dealer. It's like, oh, Mark, we've just got the new one in. Would you like to come and test ride it? I was like,
shiny.
Okay. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so traded that one in. So I had 2013 one. And little side story is the last 3 digits on the registration plate were EPK, Epic. And again, that's where the Epic ties in.
It's a sign.
It's a sign. So I had that one for 2 years, and I got another phone call from the dealer. He just got back from Spain. He'd been to Almeria, and basically went to voice message. And I listened to it. It's like, oh, Mark, just got back from Spain. Just rode the next. I think you would like it. Why don't I? I was just like ignored him for a bit. And I was like, and I started to get a bit itchy, and I was like, I'll go and have a look at it.
He planted the seed.
So I went and I test rode the 2015 one, and I was like, yeah, go on then. And so I had that. So that was the first 3 RRs, 11, 13, and a 15. And at that point, that's when I decided to change my direction to be a motorcycle instructor. And I thought, a RR wouldn't be appropriate for doing CVT later. So I decided I needed another bike.
How am I going to do the U-turns on this?
The thing is, I had an Austin Racing exhaust system on it.
Oh, nice.
It was obnoxious.
Yeah, I had one on the Tuono. Just obscene.
You shut the throttle, they just backfire like crazy, don't they? And so I'd ride through town and I'd change down a gear at the traffic lights and you'd just be like, boom, 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 boom. Everybody was looking at you. And I'm like, I look like a dick. I'm like one of these people that I can't stand right now. You know, the people who like have the dump valves on their cars and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm one of them. So yeah, I decided I need a different bike, and the double R went, and I got sucked into GS land.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the reason then, was it? It was like a practical thing. I need this bike for this role.
Yeah. So again, it was around 2017. I was starting to think about being a motorcycle instructor, tour guide. I was thinking, well, I can't really do tours on a double R because, well, they're a little bit, well, you could, and you could travel around the world on a sports bike. There's a couple of people I know. Well, I know one person personally that has done it. But like I say, it was like, it wasn't practical. And so I was like, and I think I'd watched Long Way Round too many times. And I was like, I'm going to try the GS. And up until that point, when I basically had a mind shift set of, I'm going to be an instructor, I'm going to be a tour guide. If somebody had said to me 12 months before that, you're going to have a GS, I would have punched them in the face.
Yeah, same. Not a chance.
I was
Not
like, shit, I would have been 100% shut up and punched them in the face. And then 12 months later, I take one for a test drive with my friend. He was on his KTM SMT 990. And we got to Lou. You've been to Lou. You did with the pasties with Teapot. Not Teapot.
Oh yes,
Teapot.
Yeah, I'm Teapot. Lamb chops.
But so down in Lou at Martin's Dairy, cracking place for a pasty.
Gotcha.
Got there and I was chatting to him. He was like, "You need to slow down, mate." And I'm like, "No, it's just this bike. I just gel with this bike." And so I basically bought the blue GS. So what did you call your blue one? Helga?
First one, Helga. Yeah.
Yeah. The blue rally one. The one that you had before the tractor.
Yeah, first one was Harman. The triple black was Harman. The blue one was Helga. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had one of those. Amazing bike. Absolutely, like I say, it's not the fastest bike in the world, and it doesn't have the most horsepower, and it doesn't have all the stuff that all these new fancy adventure bikes have, but it just does. I sound like you. It just does everything good enough.
Yeah,
that it's kind of a complete package. And so I did a ridiculous. I did 20,000 miles in the first year of owning a GS.
Nice.
I was out on it all the time because it was just easy to ride. You could go anywhere on it. And yeah, like I say, I don't need to preach to you about a GS because, well, what is it you call them?
Best bikes in the world.
Exactly.
As you said, like the amount of people will be turning off now will be staggering, but I will not labour it. It's, as you said, it's the complete package. I think there's better bikes out there to ride in the adventure market. KTM Super Adventure S, I think, is a far better bike to ride. It's more dynamic. It's more engaging. It puts a bigger smile on my face. The Multistrada, although I've not ridden the V4, I've ridden the 1260 versions, and I think that's a great bike. But it's the package. It's like when things go wrong, and if you're doing the miles and if you're out there riding, something will go wrong. It's just how is that dealt with? And okay, KTM are definitely up in their game. They definitely are up in their game, but people still have issues. And it's how the dealership deals with it. Ducati, a joke, just a joke. Like, I've got a mate who's still going through issues with Ducati, and it's disgusting how they've treated him. So I will never have one of them in my garage just because I can't be arsed with the grief of having to deal with Ducati, Whereas with BMW, Christ, I've just had warranty work done on the front shock of mine, and it was outside the warranty, but they still honoured it. They still, and even though it had 50 or 60,000 mile on it, they still did it under the warranty. So fine, awesome, keep my business.
Exactly. So I've got a friend. He had a Super Adventure. and he went and had a Super Ducar after that. And he then bought a second-hand GS as well, like an oil head, I think it was, or the last of the oil airhead ones. And we went to Wales together, and he offered to let me have a go on the Super Adventure. And it's just a really tall bike, and I'm not tall for people. And I was like, I'm a bit weird about test riding other people's bikes because
same.
If anything goes wrong,
yes,
there's insurance, but I'd feel like a tit.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't care about crashing my own bike because it's my personal property, if that makes sense.
No, get you.
But he had issues with the dealership and stuff like that, and he's now got a GS. And I've been a BMW customer since 2011. I've had 7 bikes, all from Ocean, BMW in Plymouth, and they've always been amazing to me. I mean, obviously I'm spending money with them, but I would take my money elsewhere if I felt that I wasn't getting the service that I felt like I should be for the amount of money that you spend on a BMW. They are a prestige brand at the end of the day, and which is the disappointing thing about Ducati. It's like they're a prestige brand. You pay a lot of money for their bikes. You would expect to be treated in the same ways as they make their brand to be.
You absolutely don't. You are not treated. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, the new Desert X, the Ducati, is it the Desert X? The thing that looks like the old Kajiva Elephant Dakar bike. I'd love one then. But because it looks amazing. It reminds me of the old Dakar bikes from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But again, if they've got issues, it's like, I'm not, I'm hard pushed to jump ship.
Yeah.
When I'm getting treated so well here.
Yeah, same. But I think there are good dealerships out there, like not non-BMW dealerships. There are. I've got mates who own like the KTMs, and they have really good relationships with their KTM dealership, and any issues that arise, they're dealt with. Brilliant, happy days. That's awesome. But for me, I just feel it's more of a gamble. When you go outside of that BMW bubble, it's more of a gamble. So when you do find a dealership that looks after you, keep hold of them, promote them, give them business, let your mates know about it, because we need to promote that. I'm a firm believer in promoting good customer service, and I'm a firm believer in advertising bad customer service, because, I think if a company doesn't give you good service, then they need to change their ways. Otherwise, you're done. People just send their business somewhere else. Really,
the thing is, it's like there's a saying in business. It's like, if you give good customer service, or if you give good product, your customers will tell maybe 2 or 3 friends. Yeah. If you give bad, they'll tell everybody. Yeah. And so it's like, it's worth putting in that extra effort. So you get the good, like, people telling everybody. But it's also doesn't ruin your business, because nobody's got anything bad to say about you. Like I say, if you give one person bad customer service, they will tell as many people. They will post it everywhere. Facebook.
No, it's true.
They'll put posters on the lampposts to make sure that everyone knows they've had a bad deal from you.
So where are you at now with bikes then? Do you just have the GS, or do you still have the RR as well?
No, so I had, when was it? So I had the 2017 GS, then I was getting an itch. So the Gen 4 RR had been advertising, it was out, and I test rode it, and I put a deposit on it.
Phenomenal machine.
Phenomenal. And December, I think it was 2019, I put the deposit on, and there was a 6-month waiting list for it. There was a problem with the oil. Somebody in the factory hadn't drilled that channels deep enough, and so forth. There was problems with the engines.
Engines were blowing up racing, weren't they?
Yeah. And that was like, that's £20,000 for a motorbike, Mark. I was like, and I've got young kids that I want to do adventure. Can I tie that kind of money up to a selfish motorcycle toy?
Yeah.
Would that money be wisely spent somewhere else? And so I ended up buying a secondhand S1000R, which is, for all intents and purposes, is a double R without fairing and slightly less horsepower.
Mhm.
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody ever uses 200 horsepower on the road. If you do, you go into jail or worse.
It's got it. It's got it.
But yes. And so I bought the S1000R and I was riding it everywhere like I stole it, which was obviously not good. And then every time I walked into the ocean, for whatever reason, down in Plymouth, I had seen the double R's sat there in the motorsport colours, and I was like, "Oh fuck it,
Mark, come and try me, Mark."
I swear to God, it used to whisper my name, and so I ended up buying one, and I bought it in the November of 20. What year are we on? 23. 2021. I bought it. November. Not a good time to buy a sports bike living in Devon. I rode it everywhere. Yeah, it could be Scotland.
Could be in Inverness or Aberdeen or somewhere.
But yeah, so I rode it everywhere, and it was an amazing, phenomenal bike, as you know. But they're so easy to get you into trouble in a hobby. I mean, there was private roads, private racetracks, and stuff, and yeah, speeds that we shouldn't talk about. But it was all on private land.
Obviously.
I went out on it in like the December, and there's a lot of farms in Devon, and there's a lot of debris on the road from the tractors and stuff like that. And I was like wheel spinning at crazy speeds because of all this stuff. And I'm like, this ain't sensible, Mr. Kent. And so, and I also started to get this itch again for going off road. So when I had the 2017 double R, I'd done the ACT Portugal. So that was my first endeavor into off road. And I was like, yep, I'm going to buy a GS. I don't like Starbucks. I'm going to take it and do what it's designed for. And so I did the Portugal ACT, which was a phenomenal experience. And again, I started to get that itch. And so I was like, I'd end up, with my curious nature about things, I'd be like, I wonder where that road goes. I wonder where that one goes. And being in Devon, it can get you into a lot of trouble because you could end up down some places where you shouldn't be on a sports bike. Think of like Baron von Grumble when he took his Gixxer down that. Yeah, that's Devon roads all over. And so I was like, maybe you should really think about getting something else. And I had a thought about other bikes, and it just obvious that I should go back to the GS. So the double R went, and I only own the one bike because I don't need any more bikes. I've got the best bike.
No, I get you. I'm just getting the Gixxer back on the road at the moment. You know, it's done. It's now done. I've not edited. I've only edited the first part. There's another 2 parts to come to get us to where I'm currently at with the bike. But she's ready for an MOT. And obviously, to get an MOT, I've got to get her insured. I can't get her insured. I'm struggling to find somewhere that will insure her.
Why is that?
They keep telling me it's down to my occupation.
Okay.
I put myself down as a self-employed video editor. And the bike, they said that is a highly stolen bike, the GSX-R 1000.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but this bike's worth like 1,500 quid, maybe $2,000. But they're just like, no. Book prices, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but it's got 100,000 miles on it, and it's literally been battered. Do you know what I mean? Like the bike has been thrown down, not rocky cliffs, but it's seen some abuse. The bike, you know, it's like it's not. I think I put it down. Yeah, I put it down as like $1,000, maybe, like the value of the bike, and it's like 3,000 mile. I think maximum mileage. I said I'd do. But they're either ridiculous, like they want 400 quid for third party, or third party fire and theft, or it's just no, we can't insure you. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is insane. But anyway, never mind. I'll figure it out. I mean, I'm going to go in a month.
Yeah, you say it's not worth anything, but really it is, isn't it? To you.
I mean, it's invaluable
to me.
If
somebody stole it, you would never get that The money
I'll,
wouldn't replace what you've got from that
I'll
bike.
hunt them down and set their toes on fire. You know, like, yeah.
You have friends who could hunt them
Oh,
down.
yeah. We're going to have
And
words. We're going to have some fun
tickle
before
them.
anyone else will know about this. But yeah, I mean, it's invaluable to me, absolutely. And I'll never, ever get rid of that bike. And I will get her back. She will get insured and she'll be on the road. But at the moment, it's just like, it's ridiculous. This is just absolutely ridiculous. You know, the money. I'm seeing it all over the place. I'm seeing lots of people's posts about insurance, like they're getting their insurance renewals through, and it's like 1,700 quid. And then next thing you know, they get it down to like 400 quid, 450 quid. Just like they just make it up. They just bloody make it up, insurance companies. Anyway, sorry, on a rant.
They hope that you don't bother to look around, don't they? They just send you a quote and just hope that you forget the letters there or whatever and just roll with it.
Yeah. Oh shit, my insurance is due tomorrow. Bang, that'll do. Yeah. Right. Okay, we've had a little chat there. How about we move to some questions? Because there's some questions here for you to answer.
Yeah, crack on, man. Crack on.
Lovely job. Now, you are a clan member. Thank you very much for your support. So you've probably seen some of these, but we'll head across to Patreon.
I tried to stay away from them, so...
Have you? Right, okay. Head across to patreon.com/TeapotOne. First one, Devin Redneck. Nice, I like that name. Good lad. Evening, gents. Hope you're both doing handsome. Mark, I'm not far from you, mid-Devon. Do you have any advice or recommendations for a novice off-roader or green laner? I ride a Tiger 800 and would like to get it dirty. Keep up the great videos both. Cheers. Right, so... getting it dirty, North Devon.
Right,
on an adventure type bike.
So I'm 5'7". I'm not very tall. GS is a big, heavy bike. And when I bought my 2017 bike, I basically had the attitude, I'm going off-roading on this. Mm-hmm. And I just found the green lane, I went down it. And that's how I started riding off-road with the GS. So I'm probably not the best person to ask for like practical advice like that because there's a Facebook group on Devon Tracks or something. They take people out and you can go off-roading with them. The best thing to do is find somebody who does it already. Somebody you trust because me. Don't touch me. And I'll see if we can help you out. Because there's a lot of people who are anti big bikes off-road for whatever reason. Jealous. And they will just take you out and take you down the gnarliest lanes, and it will spoil your fun at the end of the day, especially enjoy riding, whether that be on or off-road. So find people that you trust who will take you out and build you up slowly over time, because there's no point out and going out on some gnarly track where you can get yourself into a whole world of trouble and never want to do it again. So find some easy lanes. Maybe join like the TRF or something like that. Tell them you've got an adventure bike, you want to do some easy lanes. Find some people with the same attitude as you or the same, who are not going to fuck you over. It's the best way I can say it. And then, but the biggest thing is just get the right tires on it, because road tires and 50-50 tires. I run Michelin Anarchy Wilds, and I've used Carews 3s and 4s. They're good, but I wouldn't go anything like road-based tires, like anything like the A1s or anything that's just got a normal road tread, because at this time of year, Devon is just full of mud. It rains just a lot. Sliding everywhere. You're just going to fall off a lot. So be prepared to fall off a lot on an adventure bike. Know how to pick your bike up by yourself, because if you're by yourself, you need to be able to be self-sufficient, and just enjoy the process.
I think it has to be said, if you're brand new to off-riding, personally, I would have rather just gone myself and just got on with it myself with nobody else there watching and me not being a hindrance to anyone else. But that's the absolute worst thing to do, and I 100% recommend when you first start doing this, take somebody else with you. Just A,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to pick a bike up when there's two of you, and B, if anything does happen, you are going to come off your bike. You're going to drop the bike, and in the wet, it can be quite savage, can't it? And it can be,
Yeah.
especially with a bigger adventure style bike, your legs are going to come under the bike there, and you could quite easily break your leg, quite easily go over an ankle, do your wrist, do your ribs. So if there's somebody else there, it's just a bit more of a safety net for you,
It's reassuring.
should the worst happen.
I'm going to counter that point you just made there in a second, but I mean, wear the right gear for a start as well. I wear full-on motocross boots. I always wear full riding gear with the best armor in it. I always wear knuckle protection. I've got bark busters on my handlebars. I've got engine bars. But to go with, I mean, I was 6 when I learned to ride a bike, and obviously I've been riding for a long, long time. So I'm not saying it's the right thing to do is just go off-road by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got good machine control and you're able to pick your own bike up, there's no reason why you can't, because there's a lot of people who say you shouldn't go off-roading by yourself. And I'm going to throw out a thought bubble for everyone who says that. Is because, have you heard of Ted Simon?
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah.
Of course. Have you heard of Elspeth Beard?
Yeah. All the big hitters.
Is it Jake King or Ben King?
Ben King. Mm-hmm.
Ben King. Who else? Sam Manicon.
Mm-hmm.
Some bald-headed guy went around the world on a jigsaw. Great big bushy beard. All these people.
I've heard he's an utter legend.
Legend. All of these people. What did they do? They set off.
No, absolutely, totally. Yeah. I am a massive advocate for solo travel. I love it. I really miss it because it's not something I get to do that often anymore. Even just road riding around the UK or anything. I tend not to ride just myself anymore, sadly. Well, I mean, it's not sadly. It's I've chosen to do what I do, but. What I'm saying is, for these first steps, tentative steps into the off-road world, I would suggest the optimal thing would be to have somebody else there with you, just for that. Because if it's gonna go tits up, the chances are it'll go tits up that first couple of rides that you do, and then probably. A little bit further in, once you start getting a bit cocky and a bit confident, which is probably where I am at the moment. It's taken me a long time to actually enjoy going off-road. I enjoy it when it's done because I'm like, oh, fuck, I've got through that. Now I'm actually just the tail end of the Morocco trip. It was like, oh, actually, I did quite enjoy that. And I'm starting. No. I had a few offs, but they were all slow speed.
And that's the thing with off-roading. It's like if you're on a big adventure bike, you're off-roading, you will fall off, but the speeds are generally going to be slower because the bike gets all out of shape a lot quicker than, say, a proper enduro bike where you're going to be going a lot faster when you fall.
Right. So
most of your falls are going to be at slow speed. The difference is, can you get that bike out of where you are?
Yeah.
Whereas versus an enduro bike or something where you can be hooning down the lanes, which you shouldn't really, you could get yourself proper injured. Just like when you go off road riding, you could be in the middle of Wales and you could be hooning around. We've all been there where we've come back from a road ride where we've been going way over our comfort zones, and we've come back and we're like, fuck. And if you're in the middle of nowhere and there's no phone signal, it's just the same. So it's just, we should all ride within our own ability at times.
We should, but we're all sort of junkies, really, aren't we? Most of us, I would suggest, who ride, we do it maybe not all the time, but we like that adrenaline rush.
Yes.
And for me, road riding, it used to involve sports bikes and stupid speed. That's what did it for me. Now it's tight, twisty roads, low down grunt, powering out corners, lifting the front wheel as you're powering out the corner on a great big chunky adventure bike, doing things that people who don't ride those bikes don't think they can do. That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
That's why I like to take them on the track, and I enjoy that.
It's awesome.
That's fun for me.
It's awesome seeing you ride around sports bikes on the track.
So easy, mate. Honestly, have you not taken yours on the track yet?
I've run knobbly tires, so
honestly, yeah. But even modern knobblies, they'll obviously you'd probably, after like your third session, you'd probably need to ease off a little bit. But they're phenomenal. They're just so easy to ride. If you can ride a bike, you will love an adventure bike around the track. Unless it's something like, well, I've taken mine to Thruxton. Thruxton's a big open fast circuit.
Yeah.
And it's still fun. You can be utterly pinned flat out in sixths around some of those corners with your knee on the deck, and it's just, what a buzz. It's brilliant. Love it. Oh, I want to get on track now. It's great fun.
Try and take it to Cadwell.
I have done. I've done quite a few at Cadwell. Yeah, I love it. Cadwell's. Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I've still got level 4 of Superbike School to edit.
And that's at Cadwell.
So that's at Cadwell. Yeah, I did levels. I've done levels 2, 3, and 4 all at Cadwell. First one was at Bedford Autodrome. 2, 3, and 4 were all at Cadwell. Awesome circuit. Love it. Yeah, great fun. The mountain, the mountain. I've never jumped the mountain. I think I've raised the front. That's about it. But it's after you do the mountain, there's like a sort of right, left, right. Is it right, left, right, left, right? Tight right at the end. That's section. That's a lot of fun. And then all of it's phenomenal, to be honest. Yeah, great giggle.
It's a phenomenal.
Yeah. Get your bike. In fact, let's do a track day. Get both tractors down there and getting all excited now. Right, Devin Redneck. Basically do exactly what Mark just said there. Drop him a line. He's down that neck of the woods. There you go. I've just straightened you up.
If he's in mid-Devon, that'll be Oakhampton area, so I'm not far away.
There we go. Next one, Charlie Callard. Oh, he's another Southwester. Evening, fellas. I've been looking forward to this one. So here goes. Mark, if you're happy to talk about it, what was your best and worst experience in the Marines? What made you change from PT to motorcycle trainer? And lastly, if Starbucks wasn't a thing, where would you GS riders go? Costa or Cafe Nero? Right, we covered some of them, but...
Yeah, so Charlie, met Charlie on your subscriber ride.
Yeah, clan ride out.
So, yeah, he doesn't live that far away from me. So first question, worst experience, basic training. I'm not going to lie. Basic training. So after 3 weeks of basic training, I got shin splints, horrendous shin splints. I ended up on 600 milligrams of ibuprofen 3 times a day.
Jesus.
All the way through to stop my knee from swelling up after I fell and to take away the swelling from the shin splints. So any kind of running, any kind of impact, because everything's done in boots, and obviously carrying all that kit, it was painful. And I remember going to the sick bay to see the Navy doctor after 3 weeks, and it's like, Recruit Kent, I just don't think you're cut out to be a Marine with your biomechanics. And I'm like, I should fucking show you, mate. I was like, I'll show you. So that was the worst part. But the best part is getting through all that. Mm-hmm. Because like when you're having to deal with pain that at times, I'm trying not to be dramatic. It would bring me to tears. Like speed marching, it'd be like uncontrollable. When you're like in so much pain, you can't help the tears rolling.
Yeah.
And because you wanted something so bad, but it was hurting you so much, it didn't make any sense to keep trying to do it. So getting through that, and at the end of basic training for the Marines, you do your commando course. So you do speed march, you do a Tarzan assault course, you do the endurance course, and then you do the...
Sorry to interrupt. Is that like the RAF Regiment 5 Mile of Death? So I had to get that.
The hoop. Yeah, and then you do the 30 miler. And at that point with the 30 miler, I was so into doing it that the 30 miler was like a joy, because it was like I'm almost at the end of basic training. I can see the finish line, and it was like I was still having to take these freaking big horse pills of tablets, but the amount of like adrenaline flowing through me to like get through this thing, it was like just an amazing experience standing at the end and like knowing you're now a Royal Marine Commando, and all you have to do is King Squad, which so King Squad is the passing out parade for the Marines. You have them in the police force, yeah. And the other all forces have a passing out parade, and there's a point on King Squad where you're in a triangle shape. Forgive me, anybody who's watching this who's in the Corps or was in the Corps, and I can't remember the name, it's been a while. But I'm point man in the middle, right at the front, because it's like they work it on from the shortest people, so me being short. And like I say, I'm point man doing arms drill in front of my mum and the rest of my family, and I cried while I was doing it with pride. And so basic training was the most painful and horrible thing, but getting that green beret at the end, it was just the most amazing, because nobody could take that away from me. It's like you don't get given your green beret, you have to earn it. And so yeah, the same thing, but in two different situations, and everything else is gravy after that.
What was it like? What was it like coming out? Because I know a lot of service personnel struggle with civilian life, and I've got a very, very, very small insight into that coming out the old bill, because it's just different. You know, that sense of belonging's gone. The camaraderie that you had has gone. How was it for you?
I think because I was older when I joined, I'd already experienced civilian life. Whereas does that make sense? It's like I knew what it was like to be a civilian.
What you're coming back to, yeah.
I did civilian jobs. I had a goal of what I wanted to do with my career. And I was only in for 8.5 years. Whereas if I was in from, say, a kid, 15, 16, I've got a friend who was in from, like, he was junior. He was like in at 16, and he was in for 25 years.
Wow.
So if that was me, I think it would be hard to transition into something I'd never known, because you kind of all in any kind of forces, any kind of military, you always have a structure. Your day's planned out for you. You have to be so and so at a certain time. You have to do this. You want to be there, and if there's an operation or any kind of military thing that you have to go and do, you know about it, and you know what you're going to do, and there's plans. Whereas in Civvy Street, it's more of a flux, isn't it? It's like things are not the same. But so
it's down to you, isn't it? It's down to you to make those decisions and plan.
So I mean, you always know what you have to wear in the military. It's easy. It's like, but because you don't have to think that far ahead. It's like, because you know you're going to be doing X, Y, Z, and yes, it's tough physically and it's tough mentally at times as well, because of wherever you could be. But I don't think I found it a difficult transition, because I was so focused on becoming a personal trainer and setting up my own business, if that makes sense. Kind of like I'd got my head around it before I think I'd left. Yeah.
Do you ever miss it?
Yes and no. So it's like anything where you, like in a regimented life, it's like, it feels like it's hard work at times. But most of the time it's not as difficult as basic training. Once you get through basic training, it's like everything's a little bit more relaxed. Yeah, you're going to have tough times where you're like preparing to do some stuff. But I miss the crack that you have with your mates and the crazy banter and the camaraderie and people who have been through the same shit as you to get to where they are. Whereas in civilian street, it's like, as a civvy, it's like anybody can apply as long as they've got the qualifications to do a certain job. they haven't earned the right to be there sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas, as you know, in the police force, you have to work your way up the structure of the rank system, don't you? You have to.
It's changed a lot now. Got to be said, has changed a lot, which is bringing a lot of contention into that role. And I think it's having a detrimental effect because you don't have that. You don't have that sort of common bottom rung of respect for each other where you've all gone through that same thing. That doesn't exist now. So there's direct entrant. There's all sorts of ways now.
In the Marines, the officers, they're so it's 8 months for a Marine recruit. It's 2 years for a Marine officer. And they have to do everything a normal recruit would do, but it's got to be faster, better.
Got to excel,
So you have to do everything. And yes, they might be university graduates who are a lot more smarter than most recruits.
A lot more smarter.
A lot more, yeah. That's good English.
Mark wasn't an officer.
I don't do English. It's my first language.
Clever like what I is.
Yes.
Sorry.
But you respect them because you know what they've been through. Same with the PTI's branch. You know what they've been through to get to that. And it's like, same with all your training team. They won't ask you to do anything that they can't do themselves. There's no, that's one of the big things about the military that I loved is like, there's no double standards. It's like if they want you to climb that rope, they can climb it better than you. And you just got to practice until you get good at it. Whereas there's certain roles in outside of life, certain managers in certain jobs who they don't lead by example. And I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan.
We touched on this earlier about, you were saying what sort of person you were in that you find it hard to be the grey man. I never used to, I could do that. No problem. Just put my head down and get on with it. And I could be the grunt and just, tell me to go and dig a hole and I'll go and dig that hole. Boom. And I'll make sure it's the best fucking hole you've seen, but I'll just get that job done. Boom. As I've got older, I found it increasingly hard to bite my tongue and to not question incompetence. If I saw incompetence or anything that wasn't logical, if someone's made a decision and I'm just like, that doesn't there's no sense behind that. Like, why are you doing it this way? I found myself becoming that person. Why do you want me to do this? Which obviously in the military line of work, don't work, does it? That's not it. And in the old bill, I was finding myself at loggerheads all the time because I was questioning decisions and just going, why are you doing that? That's fucking, why do you want us to do this now? This is totally illogical. And I found I'm probably getting increasingly more combative and intolerant as I get older, to be honest. I really noticed it towards the end of this year with my tours, just silly little things like, people not, I've got it right at this moment, actually. People will be laughing who are coming away to the Alps tour with me because some of the hotels want us to pre-order, our dinner. If we're having dinner at a hotel one night, they want you to pre-order because there's 15, 16, 17 of you. And it's simple things like you'll put up there and you'll say, right, you just need to tell me what you want and I'll put it down there. So you put the menu up and then the thing that's going on at the moment is loads of people are picking the burger. Well, the burger comes with 3 different cheeses. So you need to let me know which cheese, is it the blue cheese? Is it this cheese or is it that cheese? The amount of people that don't read that, they just, I'll have the burger. And someone's just said, I'll have the cheese for dessert. Well, there's like 4 different cheese dishes for dessert. That sort of thing. Yeah, and that sort of thing, just, I don't know why, but it like grips my shit. It just, we had a thing in the Met, in the training school, RTFQ, ATFQ. And it's to do with exam papers. Read the fucking question, answer the fucking question. And that was all to do with details. If the question asks you to something specific, then it's your job to notice that and to address that in the answer. And it's all to do with like points to prove in law and, theft. A person commits theft of the dishonestly appropriate property belonging to another with the intention to permanently deprive. So there's all these points to prove that you have to hit in order to maybe not arrest somebody for theft, but certainly charge them and send them to court. They have to address all those points to prove. So it's just details. And that sort of thing, when people don't do it, it just annoys me now. I don't know why.
It kind of comes back to, I mean, I didn't mean this in a horrible way when I said people are generally just lazy.
Yeah.
Because when there's too many choices,
yeah,
it's like, oh, there's too much information. Sometimes we just don't read that information, or we can't take it in for whatever reason. It's like, I've been to places where it's like, okay, you've got a pre-plan. I don't know what I want to eat in 3 more days. But it's like, just give me 3 things to choose from.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have the burger. And it's just like, the burger comes with this. There's no options beyond that. And it's like,
too many choices.
The steak comes like this, and you might have this. They might ask you how you want it cooked, but the steak comes with chips and salad, or you can have peas. And it's like, the more options people have, the less likely they're going to be able to pay attention to those options. So it's like Steve Jobs. He did the same clothes all the time. He didn't want too many choices.
Yeah. Just allows him to direct his attention to the things that actually mattered to him. Yeah. The thing is, like, me having said that, I still do the same thing. I'll still not pick up on a detail in a simple instruction. And it really irks me when I realize, oh, I haven't done it. It's like, I take the piss out of people on the tours and stuff and give them the vest of shame. I've got a polite vest. So, like, if they were to do that, there's already about 3 of them have already got the vest of shame, one each day for the menu things. But if I do something like that, I'm just like, oh, you've fucking let yourself down. You've let your family down. You're just like,
God damn.
Yeah.
You ever wear the vest yourself?
Oh yeah, I've had to. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to, haven't you?
Well, yeah, it's like lead by example, isn't it? It's like, it's not the military, but it's like people are more likely to get embarrassed or reluctant to do something if, technically speaking, you're their leader. You're the clan leader, aren't you, on the trip? Whereas how bizarre that might sound, being verbalized, but technically speaking, that's why they're there. They're there to enjoy, and they want to be around what you're doing and the other people in the clan. It's like, well, if he's not doing it, why should I fucking do it?
No, yeah. And that's part of the reason I'm a firm advocate of, if you dish it out, you've got to be able to take it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I'll take the piss out of people, no problem at all. But to the same extent, I'm quite happy for people to take the piss back. Sometimes I'll bite, don't get me wrong. I do bite. But you've got to take it if you dish it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, okay. What made you change from PT to motorcycle trainer? Well, we covered that. You covered that right at the start, didn't you? So if Starbucks wasn't a thing, where would you go? Costa or Cafe Nero or anything else?
It'd have to be Costa. Cafe Nero, not a fan. But I'm more likely to take a camping stove, go down a green lane and make my own coffee. Because then it's just like sat at the side of a lane, like with a nice view. It's all romantic. Sat by yourself, just taking in nature and stuff like that. It's like,
do you have your own little AeroPress that you take with you? Do you go all?
I'm not that posh. give me press. Spent all my money on my bike. I can't afford a coffee press.
Yeah, exactly. I think McDonald's, I've said this before, McDonald's do a far better coffee. I don't really like Starbucks, Costas, or I think I would take Costa over Starbucks for sure. Cafe Nero, I'm trying to remember what their coffee's like. But yeah, McDonald's for me. McDonald's does a much nicer coffee.
Yeah, I had a McDonald's today, actually. I had a toffee latte. I needed to my teeth were like melting, but it was so sweet. But
80,000 calories.
Yeah, it was a bit bad.
Makes your eyeballs itch. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Right, cheers for that one, Charlie. Next one, Jeremy Weeks. Evening, Bruce. Hi, Mark. Fellow Cornwall rider here. So very interested in your series of cafe reviews. Where's your favourite? Any options for evening rides? Out of season, I find it very hard to be certain places are open. Do you ring ahead or just chance it? So, cafe reviews.
Right, okay. So, obviously, Devon and Cornwall is real. It's a very seasonal county, both of them, because of the tourists. And so some of the cafes don't open. So I live in Barnstable, and Woolacombe's not far away from me, and it's an amazing place. A lot of surfers go there. And the best time for me personally is to go anywhere in Woolacombe or anywhere in Devon on the coast when all the tourists have gone in, because it's so busy you can't get anywhere. Yes, we need them, so please keep coming back, because obviously we need the trade. So I just turn up, and if it's I rocked up at one other place and it was shut, and I was like, oh well. And I just went for a ride. So it's like evening rides in the winter, out of season. So it's like out of season. It's like, again, it depends what time we finish work. It gets dark quite quickly in the winter, doesn't it? 4 o'clock and it's dark. So Cornwall, I like Loo. Loo is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, you've been to Loo. Where else in Cornwall? Bude, that's the north coast of Cornwall. Bude. All that sort of area, Tintagel, Port Isaac, it's all beautiful. And when it's quieter and just after the tourists go home, so like the next 2 weeks, it'll start to die down with tourists. They're the best times. You get the sunsets a lot earlier, so you get to watch it beautiful. Because again, we're on the west coast. You get to see sunsets from pretty much anywhere, because we're not far away from the sea at any point in Devon and Cornwall. We're not that far away from the coast. So, but yeah, evening rides, again, it depends what time you finish work. The weather kind of can cut you out. I mean, the A39s, I know you've done the A39.
God, yeah.
It's a phenomenal road. It's
obscene. It's proper naughty, that, on a sports bike.
Well, we did that on the subscriber ride, didn't we, the A39?
Yeah, we did bits of it, yeah.
On the way to Widmouth Bay, and there was some speeds that shall not be taken.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're... no idea what you're talking about. 60 mile an hour road.
And therefore the law was fully obeyed. But yeah, that was a phenomenal ride. I love that road. Any of the roads up and down Mid-Devon Way. So I don't know much of Cornwall, apart from obviously the A39 all the way down to pretty much Land's End, Senham Cove, Land's End, St Ives area, but I don't know Cornwall enough to point him in the right direction. But Lou, there's Checkers Cafe just off the A30, not far away from Plymouth.
Yeah,
they're 2 places to go and think about.
Do you know Mike and Brian, Mike Phillips and Brian McQuillan?
Longy Manus.
Yeah, Brian. Oh, yeah. Why am I thinking Brian McQuillan?
Sharp name.
Brian, I'm so sorry. Where did McQuillan come? Brian McQuillan's a barman that I used to work with in the clubs. That's where. Sorry. Right, yeah. Brian Longimanis, yeah.
That's not his proper name, though, is it?
No. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I only know them. Yeah. I only know them from the subscriber ride. And then I was up in Kielder Forest doing the Rally Moto thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have my helmet on, and all I hear is Marc Kent. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm looking, I'm like, and it was Mike.
Yeah.
So they were up there. So I've only met them twice, but they're
cracking boys.
One of them's down. I don't know if they're both down in Ivy Bridge. So Ivy Bridge is a nice area. It's on the edge of Dartmoor. Dartmoor is an amazing place to ride a motorbike.
Yeah.
So Dartmoor, definitely do Dartmoor.
Yeah, good fun. Really good fun, those two boys. A lot of fun. I don't think they can make the Wales clan meet we're doing in September next month. I've got to. Are you coming on that one? Right. It's towards the end of September.
I think classes or something else, but I'm using my pennies to do the GS challenge in September.
No dramas. Oh, are you? Mega. Yeah. You did it. Was it last year you did? Excuse me, you did it.
Yeah, that was the first time, so thought I'd give it a go, and it's absolutely, you should do it. 100% you should do it. It's like, if you ride any motorbike, you can do it. So the GS challenge was originally set up for BMW owners. So it's just like, it's like you got the KTM off-road thing that they do an adventure tour as well. So Simon Pavey, legend. He runs the off-road school in Wales, and the whole thing was set up for BMW owners to come and ride bikes and just have a bit of fun. And they've opened anybody can do it now. You don't have to own a BMW, but only the people who own BMWs can then be entered into the final to then go to wherever the international trophy is. So yeah, I had loads of fun. It's like I bought my GS last March, so not March gone, but March before. Started riding a couple of trails, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, give it a go, and just see what happens. And honestly, you should do it. I mean, you probably feel, because of who you are as a YouTuber, and you're quite well known, like a little bit self-conscious, because you're not a massive, even though you're starting to enjoy it, don't feel like you don't belong there. Does that make sense? Just do it, and everyone will just like help you out as best they can. Matt Walsh was there. Is it Matt Walsh? Matt from Bike Magazine. There's a few journalists. Yes. Is it Matt Walsh? One of the so yeah, there was Bike Magazine journalists there and stuff like that, and they loved it, and they were just as nervous as everybody else. And it was a great experience. So yeah, you should do it. Everyone should do it.
I've heard that actually from everyone that's entered it. They've all said they've had a really good time. Like Kate Ralph did it, didn't she? Username Kate. She entered it. Was it last year, year before? She gave it a go. And I had the Charles the Dakar brothers, those boys that they were on, and yeah, one of them did it, didn't he? He did it and won it.
Yeah. So both of them, they both work the off-road skills course, and they're both going to be there. I mean, great blokes. Everyone who works there is like done something with motorbikes. They're not Poltars or they're not world famous, but they're really good motorcycle riders, and they've done something on an international level. So they know what they're doing, and they know what they're talking about, and you're in good hands. And I sound like I'm marketing for them. So Simon, maybe you want to give me a job one day, I might be good.
This is it.
One day.
I'd like to get Simon on here. Actually, I'd like to have a chat with him on here because, again, another incredible character from the world of motorcycling. And he's British, so I'd love to get him on here. And
no, he's not. He's Australian.
Here is he?
Yes.
Simon Pavey's Australian?
Yes.
Who am I thinking of then?
I don't know.
God. Sorry, Simon. I thought you were British. I do apologise.
He's lived there long enough to be. But,
he's an adopted Brit. You're an adopted Brit.
So Lel Pavey, his son, could be classed as British. But no, Simon, it's like you had, what's his name on the other day, didn't you? Oh, God, what was his name? I forgot his name now. Mossy.
Oh, yeah.
Mossy was telling us stories about Cy Pavey, wasn't he? And about,
absolutely. Yeah. I forget because there's a lot he's told me off camera, which I can't talk about on camera. So. not to do with Simon, obviously.
Yeah. Anyone who's done what Simon's done, finished the Dakar, I think, rode the Dakar 10 times. It's like, that bloke is nails. That's the definition of a nails motorcycle rider. Somebody who's done what they've done. So,
have you ever met Mick Extance?
I met him he was at the NEC once, but he rides KTMs. No. I've just met him briefly. He was on his Mick Exton stand at the bike show. But I mean, another guy. I mean,
another incredible character. Wow,
he's been through what he's done. And again, anybody who's finished the Dakar, or even attempts, anybody who rolls up at the start line of the Dakar has got
just to qualify for it is an achievement.
Yeah. Exactly. So
Joey Evans, Jesus. I mean, I don't know if you watched or heard that episode I did with him. Good God, Jesus Christ. I mean, that bloke, he can make you feel humble. He can make you feel, he can bring you to tears, and then he can have you rolling about laughing in the space of 5 minutes.
But it's like, I never used to be a Lyndon Poskitt fan. Not a fan. It's like I watched one of his videos once, and he was talking about panniers that I ended up buying, but it was like it's quite his tone of voice is quite level, isn't it, all the time?
Yeah.
And I find that hard to engage with. So there's, in that video, it's quite monotone and stuff like that. He was talking about a pair of panniers, for fuck's sake. And then Christmas just gone, I was on YouTube and the Africa Eco race came up.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about. And I binge watched that, and I was like, wow. It's like I've just like mad respect for all the guys in that eco race, like Lyndon's team. And then my daughter's 11, and I said to her, this is what I've been watching. Do you want to watch it? And she's like, she watched it, binge watched it. She's like,
wow.
Can we watch another one? Can we watch another one? And then she's like, I said, well, Lyndon's done this. And she's like, well, can we watch this? So we worked our way through all of Lyndon's Races to Places series.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And then we finished it. Like I say, we watched it because basically she lives with her mum, and when she comes around, we'll sit down, we'll have a drink first thing in the morning when we wake up, and we'll just sit and watch a YouTube video. And there's various different YouTubers she chooses based on whatever. And she said to me that after we finished Lyndon's series, we watched other people's, because she likes the adventure side of things. She wants to motorbike. She likes adventure. She likes the idea of the tours. And she said to me the other day, she's like, can we watch Races to Places? I'm like, which one? She goes, all of them. So it's like, and we've been watching like the eco race, and like it's like she thinks Joey is a legend as well. It's like if somebody like Joey can like touch somebody emotionally, like yourself, myself, a child, it's like that bloke is motivation on legs, isn't he? It's like if he can do and come back from where he's been, why can't anybody? Does that make sense? It's like if he can come from that.
I think that's what makes Joey so special, is that he can do that, because not everybody can. In fact, there's very few people who have the strength of mind, resilience, everything, even the family unit round about him. You know, like he says himself, if he didn't have his missus in particular there at times, he might not even be here anymore. You know, like it was everything combined. Yes, he's incredibly strong mentally. Yes, he's really committed and he's got that drive. But he had a network round about him to catch him in those times when he thought he was done. He had like that net around him just to go, we got you. Come on, let's go. Focus, let's go. Have your time, but then let's go. Yeah.
Everyone's
it's important to have that.
Have a good, solid support network around it. It's cool that you use the word strength of mind. There's a certain branch of the armed forces that use the words, do you have the strength of mind to be a Royal Marine Commando? It's because being a bootleg it's everyone can get fit. Everyone can get fit. It's like, but have you got the mental fortitude or the mental strength to go through what you're about to go through? And it does break you. But yeah, for sure, Joey is like, he's a shining example of what can be done when all the boxes are ticked. But again, saying that is like, how can you tick them boxes for yourself if you're struggling?
Yeah, true.
Does that make sense? True. I've never been in Joey's place. And so I'm just speaking from the experiences that I've been through. It's like, why can't you make things work? What instead of saying, oh, woe is me, or this is not going to work, or it's all right for him. Like, how can I make it work? How can I make the best of my situation, sort of thing? And that's kind of like my output on life. It's like, how can I make it work for me? So,
which is why part of the reason I would suggest why you are a Royal Marine, you know, and it's why you're the person you are, because not everybody is like that. You know, there are people who, at the first sign of she was a challenge, they just give up. You know, they just, oh, it's too hard. We see it I'm saying we. I remember in the old bill, obviously holding a firearm every year, you'd have to do a fitness test, and it was, ridiculously easy at the level I was at. It was level 7. Is it 7.4, 7.6 of the beat test, which is nothing. I struggled with it because I'm a fat knacker, and I just, I didn't. It comes down to strength of mind, because that's all the beat test is. It's just go. Just don't give up. Well, they take you to level 3, I think it is, on the warm-up. And, you've done a beat test, obviously. Level 3 is a little bit more than a walk, isn't it? It's literally stretching your legs out. And there were recruits there, grown adults in their 20s, who couldn't get to level 3. They gave up. They gave up before they got to level 3. And you're just like, and these people want to be police officers? These people want to run towards danger. These people want to try and help people in the face of severe trauma, severe violence at times, and you're like, surely that should be a little red flag to selection committee to go, hey, they ain't making it. But they didn't. Yeah. They would just be like, no, we'll get you in, we'll get you fit. And they never do. They never get them fit. And it's just excuse. They get through.
As a human being, it's like we're all capable of like phenomenal things. You work at it and you want it enough. It's like not everybody can be an Olympic athlete. Not everybody can be a world champion. But if you want something, you can get a lot closer than being like using the attitude of, it's all right for them, or it's too hard. Yes, it's freaking hard. Like I mentioned to you earlier, it's like there were times when I was in tears in basic training, and because it was something that I really wanted, I pushed through that pain. And it sounds, I don't want it to sound like I don't know. It's like I'm just a normal person at the end of the day. I'm just a human. It's like, but if you want something badly enough, you'll work towards it, and hurdles will come up in every walk of life. Everything you want to do, there will be a wall, there'll be a hurdle, there'll be a door closed. It's up to you if you want something enough to find a way to either open that door, climb that wall, or whatever. And it's like, if recruits for the police force are giving up at level 3, it's like they don't really want it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
They don't want it enough.
Which is what they're seeing now, because now what they get is people joining for 3 years, 5 years, and then they leave and move on to something else. I know it's rich coming from me in that I didn't see my 30 in. I left at 18, 19 years service, but I still did 18, 19 years service. Do you know what I mean? And it irks me a little bit to see. Well, you can see where we're at. I think anyone with a set of eyes can see where we're at the moment with the current police service that we have in the UK. Don't get me wrong, there's some amazing people. There's some amazing people in that job, and hat off to every one of them out there that are doing a good job and are in it with their hearts, and that's what they want to do. But there's a lot of people in there that couldn't give a shit, and they're just coasted. Coast at the easiest level.
It's a shame, really, because before I had basically applied for the police force at the same time as the Marines, and I passed all the fitness tests and everything, and I got obviously I was trying to get into the Marines, so I was quite fit at the time, so my scores for the police fitness tests were quite high. But ultimately, it was like not to be, and the Corps was what I ended up doing. It's like I was drawn to the Corps more than the police force, and but it's like, for me, in my head at the time, it was like, that is such a prestigious job, such a responsible job, such a but it's not, unfortunately, it's like, it's not in the individual policeman's hands anymore, is it? It's like, we don't have enough money going into the forces that way, and politics play a big part in what's going on. And
massively. Politics, that's kind of, that's one of the main reasons I chose to come out. Was I didn't feel like I was there. I didn't feel like I was there to be a police officer. I didn't feel like I was there to provide a service to the public. And I didn't feel like that's what the government wanted me to be there for. I started to feel like a political pawn, and I was there to facilitate whoever the government was at that time to promote their core values and their political ideas. And that, for me, like, all that has all to do with the role of a police officer. Your role as a police officer is to maintain the what was then the Queen's peace, now the King's. It's to protect life and it's protect property. That's it. Just, that's you're not. You shouldn't be. I think it's an important aspect of your character to be a social worker. I think it's an important quality to have as a person to be able to mediate between parties at that time. But you shouldn't be expected to be the person turning up and dealing with all these other complicated family issues and social issues. You're just there to, stop them nicking something, stop them stabbing and shooting each other, beating each other up, and make sure that person doesn't nick that person's stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like, that should be our core, that should be the police's core values. Get that sorted. And once you're able to do that, then we can look at all these bigger issues. It's a complicated thing, because you've got different races, different religions that you're dealing with, and amongst all the police themselves, different sexualities, different genders. I totally get it. That's life, innit? Life's complicated. We all have to deal with all this now. I just think the police should just focus on that core thing of just nail those things, keep people and property safe, save life and limb, and maintain order. Boom.
Yeah. That would be so easy. That would be so easy.
Just do that. You know what I mean? Someone gets a car nicked, I can turn up and report it. Someone gets a house burgled, turn up and report it. Not this shite on the phone where you just phone and speak to someone that couldn't give a shit, and you just get a reference number for an insurance. I think that's disgusting how it's all dealt with now. But anyway,
it's not personal.
Get off my soapbox. Don't need to worry about it anymore. Woosah. I'm off to the Alps in a couple of weeks. That's my job. Yes. yeah, exactly. Right. Did we answer all Jeremy's questions? So that was cafes, wasn't it?
Yes.
Do you ring ahead or just chance it? Yeah, you just chance it, don't you? You just turn it.
Yeah.
Keep life exciting. Nice one. Cheers, Jeremy. Next one, Simon Beale. How you doing, Simon? Good evening, gents. Question from Mark. Considering all the off-road you do, surely a KTM Super Adventure R would be a better choice.
Have you seen what they look like? They look like baboons. I don't like it's like...
I do. I quite like them.
They look like a baboon's arse at the front. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's like that headlight thing. I'm not a fan.
We've got GSs.
They're not the prettiest bike in the world, but they're better looking than that. The weird thing as well is, like, again, KTM. I've never rode one, but they're from what I've heard, and my friend as well who had one. Mental bikes, very capable off road. Obviously,
they're better. They are better.
They've got the heritage and stuff like that, but I just don't like the look of them. I really don't. But I mean. Yeah, I just don't like the look of them.
Wait till you see the new 1300.
The 1300 GS?
Yeah.
Well, have you actually seen a real one?
No.
So
I've spoken to the engineers, and what the engineers told me a couple of years ago is starting to align with some of the shots that we're starting to see now. We're still not seeing the full bike yet. They're still camouflaged some of the front. And I don't know. I've been told, and it seems to be lining up with these shots, what's coming. And I think I'm not that fussed about bikes' looks, to be honest with you. It's like, how does the thing make me feel when I ride it? Does it tickle my bollocks when I ride it? That's the main thing for me. But even the engineers were like, we're not sure if people are going to like it because it's quite radically different. We'll see. We'll see how it's going to be.
I mean, I've seen a picture. Was it an Australian magazine or something? I've seen those.
That's an AI render. That's not a physical bike.
And I've seen obviously the shots that have been going around on the internet and stuff like that, with all the spy shots and all the camouflage and that. And it's like, but I won't be, again, it's not the prettiest bike anyway. But if I buy one, I won't be buying it because it's pretty. I'll be
Yeah.
buying it because it can do everything that I need it to do if I go and off road.
Yeah.
Obviously, it will be a capable bike on the road, regardless. It'll be good on the road because the majority of GSs unfortunately, do spend their time there. But for those who are willing, it needs to be decent off road. And Simon Pavers and the off road skills course are going to have them anyway down there. So even if I don't buy one, I'll get to sample one off road properly at some point if I do it next year. So I don't know. See what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're talking about the new M version coming out, which would be interesting to see what that's going to be. Like, is that going to be a purely road focused GS, or is it going to be like a normal GS but on steroids? And then they're talking about the Adventure being 1400. So there'll be that actual physical difference between the GSA and the GS, and the GSA is going to have the bigger bike. That could be interesting.
Thing is, I can't. It's like knowing BMW the way they work. It's like I can't see them having two engines on the go at the same time. It doesn't make any sense financially for them. I can understand the M because it's like the M. If you think about what we've got at the moment with the M, we've got the MR, so the 1000 are the naked. Yep. We've got the S1000 or the M1000RR. So they're basically just blinged up, souped up versions of the standard model.
Yeah.
So will anybody, I mean, there will be customers who want the MGS. What will it come with? It might come with all the Farkles. It's like, I don't want all that stuff. I don't want all that. It's like, I don't want radar. I've been in vehicles that have got collision radar, and I've got friends who have been in accidents because of collision radar, because somebody's tail-ended them because the brakes have been slammed on. But all I want is a bike that is as basic as possible. Yes, traction control helps because it can save you, and if like drains and on the road, and ABS because ABS is always helpful. But do I want lean angle sensors? Do I want front radar? If I'm relying on like radar cruise control, where's my attention?
No, I get that.
Does that make sense?
I totally get that. No, that's exactly the argument I had, mate. And then I rode a Super Adventure S with it, and it's just like, oh yeah, I want this. Yeah, I want this.
I think I can see it, but it's like all that stuff has a place for safety, but it's just adding weight and money to the products, and people want
something else to go wrong.
Yeah, and something else to go wrong. Whereas if you think about the adventure market now, people are going for the T7s, the Tenerés, hardly any electrical stuff. They're going for the less sophisticated bikes. So to answer the question about the Super Adventure, is like, I wouldn't go Super Adventure. I'd go smaller KTM, like an enduro bike, or like is it the 890 or something?
The new one.
Adventure or whatever, yeah. Or I'd go, if I really had the money and lots of it, I'd go for a factory rally bike. Like the Lyndon Poskett stuff. The one that he gave away at the ABR.
Oh, yeah. Wow. What a machine.
If the money was there, I'd have something like that. If I was going KTM, because,
Right, let's not get into an orange and blue argument all the time. Sam Vincent's currently like jumping up and down at the moment. Never mind, Sam. I'd still take the GS. Cheers to that, Simon. Louise Worsfold. Hoofing that you've got a boot neck on the podcast. Louise is military, if you haven't figured that out. I'm sure he can tell you why boot necks are better than paras. How many crayons did it take for Bruce to give him to switch to a GS?
All of the crayons. No, it's like, I think I got my first GS in 2017, so I think I was on GSs before I discovered who you were.
Oh, okay. I think I'd already crashed my first one by then.
I'm not. Yes, I was sort of in the transition, but I hadn't got to the stage where I was like gonna be. So it was an independent thing. It wasn't your fault. You're not to blame.
Gotcha. Louise says, someone's already asked about his time in the forces, but if he hasn't already mentioned it, would he join up if he had his time again? What also is the best life lesson you've taken from your military life to apply to your riding?
Right. Okay. I would do it again, yeah, but I wouldn't do it at my age. Though I wouldn't do it at 27. I wouldn't advise anyone to do it at 27. Do it when you're like younger, just because it's. In a way, if you're more naive, you don't end up being like the one who's answering back to the training team and getting yourself into shit for no reason. Best life lesson. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd 100% do it again, but at a younger age. Best life lesson. It's like, there's a saying in the Marines, it's like cheerfulness under adversity is a big thing. It's like, you're gonna be in the shit at some point in the Marines, and same with life. It's like trying to find the funny part of it. It's like, and like there's always, it's all very, everyone can be in the shit. It's like, but where's the joke? Where's like trying to make things lighthearted, because it's not all bad. It might seem bad at the time, but once you get through it, it's like you can laugh and joke about it, and you can always think, right, I've done that. I've done this, and it's like it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah. So how can I make that more of a congruent answer? Is things are never as bad as they seem at the time. If you just take a moment to like take a big deep breath and like remove yourself from the situation and think, right, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need to do. How can we do it? So it's like not letting shit faze me too much. You know, if that's the easiest way of saying it.
Yeah, the sun will always rise again. Just get through the night, and the sun will always rise again. And you just got to, as you said, you just got to figure out that way to get through the night.
Yeah. It's kind of like being calm under pressure and all that kind of thing. It's like you will get through this no matter what it is in your life if you really want to.
Yeah. That sort of dark sense of humor, obviously, that's something that. It's adopted by military, it's adopted by the police for sure, the fire, all the emergency services, paramedics, nurses. Everyone has that warped, dark sense of humor, which if you have no experience of that life, of that environment, people outside it just don't get. Like I remember I've told stories about, dealing with death and bodies and stuff that you just have to do as part of your day-to-day role within the police. And there's always fun. You'll always find a funny situation. Maybe not always. At some point you can look back and that warped sense of humor takes over, and you can reenact that story or relay that story, that situation to somebody who's not from that world, and they just look at you like you're some sort of freak. They look at you, and I've done it to my brother, and he just looks at me like an abject horror. And you're just like, but no, you don't understand. But then they don't understand, do they? That they've never been in that world.
Because they've never been. Yeah, you've just said it. It's like people don't understand because they've never been in them kind of situations. Like I'm not a fireman. I've never been a fireman, so I'd never be able to have. Like understand what they go through, and they must see some horrible stuff. And they would it'd be similar like to the forces, but at a bit of a different angle. And it's
when they're taking cats out of trees and driving taxis and doing the joinery business and all that sort of stuff.
Putting wedding rings off. Just a sec. Wedding rings off people. Back a bit. But no, it's like everyone's everyone's got, like you said about the military and the all those kind of special armed responders or whatever. We've all got a weird sense of humor, but everyone has a unique sense of humor within each department or each special service. I wouldn't understand some of the stuff that you would have jokes about, or might not find them funny, and you wouldn't find some of the stuff that I would. But we have a common understanding. So the civvies don't get it.
Absolutely, civvies just don't get it. They're not right. Okay, Louise says, main question. if you could ride a motorbike in one country where he had been deployed, forgetting the obvious dangers, which country would that be?
Right. Okay. So I don't really. I've only been deployed to one place. So I was I was doing maritime operations in the Gulf during the Iraq conflict. So I was around that area doing anti-piracy stuff and stuff like that. So that's the main thing that I've been deployed for. So if I'm going to go to Iraq, which is the only place that I've been, but I've been to Kuwait, which wasn't obviously a war zone. So the whole Middle East area, because it's so different to what we know. So it'd be like Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, that area in the world, because it's so removed from anything that we know in Europe.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can spread your way out, whichever way you want to go north or whatever, and you can end up like in the Himalayas at some point and do all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I've been to various different countries in the Corps. I've been to Norway. I'd love to do Norway on a motorcycle, but I've only ever seen Norway in the winter, which is obviously everything's just white. I've been to North Africa and stuff like that, like the Lebanon, when I was in the Corps. So you got Lebanon, Egypt, further around you got Muscat and all that kind of stuff. So that would be fascinating to do, because again, it's like I've been to Morocco, but again, it wasn't on deployment; it was just on exercise. So military training, all that was all military training, apart from like the Gulf thing. So any of that would be amazing, but anywhere would be. So I mean, you haven't done that sort of thing, but what would you do? What?
I think
I know the Mauritania thing's a big thing for you.
Yeah, definitely. I will go back and do Africa. Do that when I can. I will circumnavigate Africa. Well, I'll get that ticked off at some point. But for me, I'm really sad that I'll never get to see Syria as Syria was before the war, because everybody I know who went to Syria said it was probably one of the biggest impacts on their life, in the sense of they went there with quite a lot of trepidation, and they came away having met some of the most welcoming, friendly, and warm people they've ever met. They saw incredible sights, like proper ancient history, which is just there. Sadly, a lot of that has been destroyed by the conflict, by the Taliban, whoever it was. It's gone now. So I'm really sad that I won't get to experience that, but I would still like to go back. Not go back. I would like to go and explore the Middle East, because it's somewhere I've been to Lebanon. I've done Lebanon, and I loved it. I was staying with a mate there who's married to a Lebanese lassie, and we stayed in Tyre, south of Beirut. But we went to Beirut and spent a bit of time there as well. And again, really nice, friendly, warm people. So I say this time and time and time again on this podcast, don't I? Like, people are the same everywhere. People are good. People are nice. Most people are nice. There's a small minority that aren't. And I think we're all, I would suggest we're all capable of not being nice if we're put into an extraordinary situation. Like if you put us into what some people are currently facing in different countries around the world, I'm pretty sure we could all have a different attitude towards people we don't know, and a different attitude to absolutely. I don't think it would take long for that to change. But as is, in the normal situations, people are good. People help, people be friendly, people are kind. So with
you mentioning circumnavigating Africa, you do it on the Jigsaw, on the Beast, or would you go on
I do it on
something
it.
else.
I do it on anything, whatever I had at that time. Obviously, the Jigsaw's getting back on the road, so yeah, absolutely. In my back of my mind is right. Unfinished business. Let's take the Jigsaw.
So
But I also know
what do we need to do to make this happen?
the biggest thing for me now is are my personal commitments at home.
Yeah.
That's the biggest restriction to an extent. You know, my missus is good as gold, but my missus has got a job. My missus has got a life, like everybody else. Everyone else's other half has. But weirdly, we have a dog now, and the dog is probably the biggest restriction, in that it's not fair of me to just bugger off and leave Nikki at home to run the house and look after the dog, because you know the dog can't be left for hour upon hour upon hour upon hour. The dog needs somebody there throughout the day. You can leave her alone for 5 or 6 hours, but that's not much use when you work 10-hour shifts. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work. So that's a big thing. Even with my tours at the moment, you know, this year I've been away from March until September next month. I'll be away for at least 1 week of every month. And the same is going into next year. You know, next year's probably March till October. So it's an even bigger commitment. And it's just that for me is the thing that's stopping me doing stuff like that. If we didn't have the dog, I'm sure Nikki would be, as long as I'm paying my half of the mortgage and paying my half the bills, and you know, we are still good together, and you know, in a relationship, and we address when we're home together, we make use of that time. Nikki would be good as gold about me going off and, you know, finishing the trip and doing this and doing that. And I'm in a very unique and fortuitous position that this is my job now. So traveling is my job effectively. As long as I'm making content that people want to watch and want to support, then I can do it. So watch this space. But at the moment, it's a difficult one at the moment. You know, it's something I didn't really have to take into account for the world trip, because okay, Nikki was around then, but we weren't married and we didn't have a dog. You know, we didn't have any of those commitments. So yeah, it will happen, but it'll take time. I've said I'll do this cycle around the UK thing as well, and you know, once I put it out there that I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. It's going to happen, but I just can't facilitate that at the moment, because that's going to be to cycle around the UK for me is probably going to be a good 4 months, 5 months, and
just pedal faster, mate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know, I might get it down to 3 months. You never know, but it's still 3 months when I'm away. You know, I'm not at home for that length of time.
Yeah, and it's like how would you make content, or would you make content based around that sort of thing?
Yeah, the content would have to be focused around the cycle, to be honest. But I'm not fussed about TeapotOne being all about motorbikes. TeapotOne for me is about adventure. It's about pushing yourself. It's about trying something new. It's about meeting people, living your life. Absolutely. And I want to promote, like, the whole point of the podcast and the channel is to promote that live your life ethos to people, particularly to people that perhaps wouldn't have normally thought about it. You know, they wouldn't normally push themselves out their comfort zone. I want to try and show people the benefits of doing that, you know, and actually it is attainable, it is achievable if you set, like you said earlier, the mindset. If you focus on something and set your mind, your heart, your soul on something, you can make that happen, and it's only you that's not going to make it happen. You know what I mean? Me saying that after just saying, "Oh, I can't do that because I've got a dog." I just have to figure out a plan. You know, I've just got to figure out.
Well, somebody was shouting, "Take the dog with you!" But
I'm starting to think that.
I used to have on my personal training gym on the door. As you walk out above the door, you used to say, "Life is not a rehearsal," and I used to have that on you know, every now people have slogans on their number plates.
Yeah,
I used to have "One life, this is not a rehearsal" and stuff written on the back of my number plates, because we only have a short time in this world, and it's like there's so many people put things off. for one reason or other. And it's like, you never know when you're going to take your last breath. So you should
100%.
get out there and stop. I mean, yeah, traveling around the world's a big thing. And it's like, I'd love to be able to do it. And for me, it's unrealistic at this time. But it's like, there's no reason why you can't go and do something that you've been wanting to do. It's like, what is stopping you? If it's only like a week away and you're to somewhere that you've been longing to go, don't not do it. Do it, sort of thing. It's like, because you never know when you could be sat there thinking, I wish I'd have done this. You only regret the things that you don't do, ultimately, don't we? So
I think that's part of the reason that the community we've got here with the clan, with TeapotOne, it tends to be people more mature in their life. You know, it tends to be people, certainly I would say, into the 30s and up. You know, I've got people in their 80s that follow it, maybe even 90s. And I think the reason it really strikes a chord with people is that live your life. It is that you just, as you get older, you realize life is short. You start realizing, well, hang on a minute. This could all end tomorrow, literally. Yeah. Without going into too much details, a good mate of mine lost his dad was it yesterday or day before? Literally, dad, fit as a fiddle, in his 60s, had a heart attack one morning, and that's it, bang, gone. You know, there was no illness, there was nothing like that, just
and that is really a young age at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's
60, yeah. It's not old at all.
I mean, that's not even 20 years from where we're at the moment. You know, it's 10 and a bit years. Yeah. You know, it's not far. So, yeah, absolutely. Don't put things off. Get on with it. Right, I need to figure out a plan. Africa, here we come. These podcasts are bad. My wife hates listening to these podcasts. She's like, oh, Christ, what ideas he got now? Right, cheers for that one. What was that, mate?
What have you talked yourself into now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What have you agreed to now?
I think Louise said, why are the Marines better than Paras?
Yes, she did.
Cheers, throw me on the bus.
There's not a rivalry there, is there?
No. Technically, the answer would be, because we can do their job and they can't do ours, but we all bleed the same. We all do a job. It's like, so yeah, there is a rivalry.
We are in the world. We are the children.
Oh no, we'll be singing bloody that Walk 500 miles thing. But yeah, there's we all have a job to do in the military, and we all do the same thing. We all bleed the same way. So we just eat better. We eat the cranes better.
Right, I'll leave it to that one. That's a can of worms that you can deal with. Right, cheers for that, Louise. Next one, Michael Cotton. This is the last one from the clan, mate. Michael Cotton. Hi, chaps. Loving the podcast. Currently listening to the backlog. I've just listened to number 19. This is number 132, Michael. You've got some time in the garage to come. My question. There's been a zombie apocalypse. What are the most important skills you bring to the table?
I can run really fast. No, it's like... So are we killing zombies or are we surviving zombies?
You're not going to make friends with them. So, yeah, I suppose survive. Yes. Survive. So does that involve killing them?
Well, we could. I think I'd be really good at like finding us places to go and hide and live, rolling around in the mud so they can't smell humans because they're just after eating us. So if we all smell like dirt, they're not going to be able to find us.
I'd be all right then.
Yeah, you just do a few thousand kilometers on the row machine.
2.
Also, I'd be really good at swinging a thing to. How do we kill these zombies? Are we going to chop their heads off, or do we have to shoot them? I think we opt for chopping their heads off because then you don't need ammo. But then it's close quarter battle. So catapults and choppy things. I've seen Rambo. I've seen First Blood. Let's make some of that stuff in the woods, lure them into the woods, and then we just kill them all.
Are you a prepper?
For the zombie apocalypse? No.
No, just in general. Are you, maybe prepper's the wrong word. I certainly since COVID, I've started to think, ooh, what if the supply chain ended? What if I couldn't just get down the shops to go in? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if you can get down the shops, but there's nothing there? I've started to think, oh God, how would I deal with that? Can I grow vegetables? Simple things.
What you're trying to tell me is your cupboard's full of spam.
It's not, but it should be, I think. Having looked at the last few years that we've gone through, it's like, we should maybe be a bit more self-sufficient.
Yeah. I worked all the way through that nasty cold, and I'd run out of food at home, and I'd go to the supermarket, and it was empty. There'd be like absolute zero. And I remember the first time I managed to get into the supermarket, and I came away with a couple of tins of sardines, and just for sarcasm, I bought some carrot seeds because that's all it was. I'm like, if there really was the end of the world kind of apocalypse, we are screwed because nobody has got any compassion for anybody else. It would be just every man for themselves, and it would turn into people would be killing each other in the streets for a packet of freaking Kleenex or whatever, because it's like there is no community anymore.
Which is what I was alluding to earlier about, I always go on about people are nice. People are nice, but I don't think it would take much for that tribal animal instinct to kick in.
In a high pressure situation. I mean, it was, at the end of the day, COVID's turned out to be not what it's supposed to have been. It's Putin's cured it. I have my own views on it. I'm not anti-vax, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's not. There was a lot of agenda there, I think, personally.
People have made a lot of money.
Yes, and it's all
as a result of it.
It's all now starting to come to light.
It's actually coming back. Have you heard this?
I've heard that story as well.
What a load of bollocks. Good luck. Yeah.
I remember taking a photo talking about this. I took a selfie because, like I say, I worked through it, and I work and I go to all the beach areas around North Devon, Cornwall and stuff like that. And I took a selfie of me on the beach by myself. Somebody commented on my Facebook to say, you should be at home, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. You won't be taking photos of yourself when you're dead in 2 weeks. I'm like, whoa, dude. It's like the amount, like say, so everyone got really triggered and very angry and whatever about the whole thing. Yeah. It's like, it highlighted a lot of human nature. The bad side of human nature, unfortunately, with the selfish acts that were happening. So if we really did have a zombie apocalypse, I would think the zombie would win. Unfortunately, I think we would be we wouldn't bond together. There might be certain parts of the world where we do become a team, or a community where we do fight to survive and stuff like that. But it could end up like that film with, what was that guy called? Will Smith. With the zombie film with Will Smith in.
Oh yeah. I Am Legend.
Where I Am Legend. He was a legend until he started hitting people in the face at the Oscars. But,
I think we'd ultimately come out of it stronger. I think there would be very few of us that would survive it, but those that do survive are, they're going to be the creme de la creme, aren't they? They're going to be the people that you want. They're going to be the gold medal Olympians. They're the ones that are going to survive it, for sure.
Yeah. The people who can learn to work together.
Yeah,
and maybe in the beginning there will be a lot of human loss because people are just trying to look after themselves.
Yeah.
And ultimately we need to look after the many. So
the greater good.
You've seen that film?
Of course I've seen it. Hot Fuzz. Yeah. It's like the Bible for any copper, that is. Is it true there's a place in someone's head that when you shoot When we used to go for our firearms training, they'd get the instructor and he'd go, anyone any questions? Someone would always say, yeah, is it true? She'd be like, shut up. Right. That is all the client questions. I think we've got a couple on Instagram, and do we? Oh, actually, there's a couple on Facebook as well. Do you need a toilet break?
Do you need a toilet break? That sounds like you do.
I need a pee break. Do you mind if I go for a pee break?
I'll go as well.
Okay, we're going to go for a pee break, folks. Listen to these sponsor readouts. How about that? How about that for a plug? See you in a bit. Sorry to interrupt, folks. I will be quick. It is sponsor shout-out time. We are sponsored, as always, by Ultimate Add-ons. Bit of a blurb to read out for them. Ultimate Add-ons are the premium manufacturer of mobile phone and action camera mounting solutions for motorcycles, with a kit for any bike and a proven track record of creating products that keep your devices safe, secure, and easily accessible. The Ultimate Add-ons product range is ideal for any rider, from the commuter to the round-the-world adventurer. Why shell out on an expensive GPS system when you could use your smartphone, keeping it charged and within easy reach to take photos of your travels at the same time? Ultimate Add-ons waterproof, shockproof, and dustproof tough cases are available for all flagship smartphone models and are designed by riders for riders. Find out why Ride Magazine gives Ultimate Add-ons their coveted Best Buy certification. Keep riding this winter with Ultimate Add-ons. It's all about the journey. Now, folks, if you head to ultimateaddons.com and use the code TeapotOne10, you'll get 10% off. I've got an affiliate link for them as well, which I'll leave down below. So if you listen to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the vid, have a look at the vid description. And obviously with the affiliate, I also make a slight commission off that. Costs you nothing more. So a massive thanks to Ultimate Add-ons. We are also sponsored by, as always, the Influencer Store. Influencer Store handle all my merch. You can see up there, I've got loads of hats, there's hoodies, there's all sorts of things. So if you head to TeapotOne.com, head to the shop, you can check out all the merchandise, and that is all handled by the folks over at the Influencer Store. The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design, and there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Again, there'll be links down below, folks. Lastly, a big shout out to all of you over in the clan, over on Patreon. As always, folks, I keep saying this, but it is true. I literally could not do this full time without your support over there. So a huge, heartfelt thank you from me. If you'd like to go that extra mile and help support both the podcast and the main Teapot One vid channel, then head to patreon.com/TeapotOne. Again, links down below. A massive thanks to each and every one of you who's listening or watching the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I really do. And I love getting all the feedback from you, from all the various different guests that we've had. If you could be so kind, on whatever platform it is that you're listening or watching the podcast, if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify in particular, you can rate the podcast on there. Obviously, a 5-star rating goes a long way to help boost the podcast up through the ranks. And if you're watching the video, just give it a like, give it a comment, and both video and audio, if you share that with everyone that you think might be interested, that would be a massive help. All right, folks, let's get back to it. Aloha.
Hello.
Right, I'm back. I'm back.
Hey,
We're back in the room, folks. Good, you enjoying it?
Yeah, I didn't think I'd have something to talk about.
Me too. It's nuts, isn't it? Like, no, but I mean, like, everyone says this. People say to me, how long do these normally last? And I'm like, 2-3 hours? And people are like, oh, God, I thought it would be like half an hour, 40 minutes. And then they come on and it's like, right, we're 2 hours in. Let's start answering questions. And people are like, oh, my God, what? Unless you're Mossy, in which case it's 7 hours.
Mate, that was an epic podcast. I loved it. I mean, I knew Mossy was because he was in the magazines, and obviously he does this stuff with 44 Teeth, and it's like, he's so northern. And but it's like, what a dude.
He's a lovely fella.
He's such a good bloke. And
seems like, as genuine as they come.
Yeah,
What
it's
you
so
see is
down
what you
to
get.
earth, and it's like,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like with journalists, like you read the magazines and you see the pictures, and they all look like they're doing amazing stuff, but they still crash,
Mm.
and they still crash hard. And it's like Mossy is like not hiding any of that, and it's
Hmm.
just like if a dude like that can do what he does and stuff, I'm like, yes, it's impressive. And that
Simon
is,
Weir's like that.
I've never
Simon
met
Weir's another
Simon,
one.
but I've got up in that corner. There's three of his
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Nice. Yeah, he's very much like that in that he you can tell he not only takes a great pride in what he does, but
mm,
he I used to be quite skeptical of journalists, magazines and stuff. I just used to read and think, kind of where I'm at now with social media on a whole. I just feel like social media is just taking the role of magazines now. In that, I used to read magazines and I didn't really trust what I read, to be honest, because I
yeah,
used to think,
yeah,
well, they're just being paid to say that. And now I'm in this world, this influencer world. I'm I'm well aware of how the PR world operates and how
yeah,
it's not an equal playing field, and some people are for sure treated much more favorably than others, and it's as a result of certain things occurring. So I don't know. I feel like I'm almost distancing myself from that role now. I don't want to be a review channel. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to ride my bike, travel, meet people, and just do my thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you don't really do review type stuff on your channel. You seem to be focusing
Not
on a
mine.
lot of off-roady type stuff now.
Yeah, it's like who were the guys you had who were from the clothing company, the Halversons and that, and
Oh yeah, yeah, the Halversons chaps. Yeah,
they absolutely nailed it on the head when it comes to
mm,
social media. It's like
yeah,
women, they look better than us. They're easier on the eyes. They have
absolutely.
assets. They have assets that most men don't have.
Hmm.
And women will watch women, and men will watch women.
Hmm.
And so then their channels grow faster than ours, whether they know what they're talking about or not. And it's like it's worse in the fitness industry. It's like,
Hmm.
again, I've got a fitness background. All you need is to be wearing your knickers and your bra in the gym, post some nice photos, and boom, you got. And
Hmm.
there are certain YouTubers in the motorcycle industry, they're not going that far with like revealing themselves that much. But it's like if you've got a bit of flesh on show, you, people will watch you. And then there's the username Kate,
Hmm.
who is I don't watch many of her videos, but I absolutely respect what she's doing. She's earned every single subscriber
Hmm.
because she is a genuine motorcyclist.
So yeah, she's a biker.
Whereas, like,
Yeah, she's a biker through and
yeah,
through.
she's a motorcyclist. She just happens to be female.
Hmm.
Um, and like I say, she's good at what she does. She's
Hmm.
very well balanced. She's good. Whereas, again, you've got some who, again,
And
they
also
just,
easy on the eye. Sorry, Mike, but you're a good
yeah,
lad. You're a lucky
she
lad.
is she is easy on the eye, and
Hmm.
but you can be the best looking female in the world, but if you have no idea what you're talking about, you'll soon get caught
Yeah.
out.
If you're like talking to a brick, you ain't going to last too long.
And
But I think that exists on YouTube for sure, because you know what I mean. Like you can't hide your personality. Maybe you can to an extent on YouTube, depending on how long your vids are and what your vids are like. But I think for what we do, like motovloggery type vids, you are being quite open, aren't you? And you're chatting away there. And I think if you've got no personality, I think you'll sort of struggle on YouTube, whereas you can do really well on Instagram and TikTok and all this sort of stuff, because it's all short form type content. It's all very visual. Yeah, for sure. But I also kind of understand and accept that those people, not necessarily just women, like good looking lads out there who are going to attract attention as well. I think that
yeah,
those people, I understand that they've got more value for a PR team because they're going to get more eyeballs on that product, aren't they? They're going to get more engagement.
Sure.
So I totally get it. I totally get it. And I've said a million times, if I was a woman, then I would be having it all out there. You know, I'd be down the gym, sorting my life out, and I'd be flaunting it. If I could be arsed, I would be a geezer with, you know, chiseled physique and the old six pack wearing tight tops and all. I would do all that, but it's not my cup of tea. I'm not really that fussed about it, to be honest. And it's not my thing. So fine. But I understand those who are and those who do.
Thing is, like, it's not just related to motorcycle content or YouTube or whatever. It's like throughout forever, the visual has always sold. I mean, think of the statue of David, or is it Anthony, or is it the statue of David? It's a physique that's been chiseled a certain way because it's visually pleasing. Look at Marilyn Monroe, look at Kate Beckinsale, look at
sex sells.
Jenna Atherton. It's like it's just the way we are programmed. And if people take the advantage of that, then that's more power to them.
No, I get it. I do get it. I do get it. And I think a lot of the time it's sort of jealousy on my part because I do catch myself, you know, and I do catch myself having negative thoughts about certain content and certain videos. But then I just think, well, you're just being jealous because if you could, you would. And well, I don't know actually. Would I? I don't know. I've said this before. I'm a shit liar. I can't lie. So I just can't. I always get caught out. So there's just no point in me doing it anymore. I think I'm probably I'm too blunt. If I think it and feel it, I'll sort of say it. You know what I mean?
I think that's ultimately I think that's the best way to be in life because everybody knows where they stand with you. I'm not just referring to you in person, like as you personally said that. It's like if you're straight with everyone and you're going to offend somebody because somebody will find something to be offended about.
Absolutely, totally.
The way the world is. But it's like if you're straight, you're honest, you don't set out to offend people on purpose by being a dick.
That's the important one. Yeah.
That's the thing. And don't be a dick. Say what you mean what you say, stand by what your words are, and people will always know that you're an honest, straightforward person. Whereas if all it takes is one lie, you lose your credibility and any part
integrity's gone.
So just be true to yourself is my one of the things I think. If you're true to yourself, people will either like you or won't like you. You can't please everyone.
Yeah. I've said it on here quite a few times before, haven't I? That something Richie Vida said to me a couple of years ago, like a year into COVID, actually. I was getting really caught up on views and analytics and, you know, like, why is the channel not growing? And, you know, oh, shit, I haven't got X amount of subscribers this month compared to last month, and the views on this vid compared to that vid. And Rich was just like, says, I don't care anymore. She says, I'm really not fussed. I just create the content I want to create. If people like it, they'll watch it. If they don't, they won't. Fine. Doesn't bother me. And I was just like, oh, wow. I remember that, you know, like when we all start YouTube, you do have that thing. Oh, I want to be the next big thing. You know, I want to be but it doesn't really matter because you've got your real life, you've got a job, so you're just cracking on with it. But it certainly does. It takes a position in your life, certainly when it becomes your full-time job.
Oh yeah,
where you do focus on all that. And I think for me that wasn't healthy. So it's been quite nice to sort of hear that from Rich and just adopt that. And I'm lucky that I have the clan behind me that basically, you know, it does matter that people watch the vids, but the ad revenue isn't what I'm counting on. You know, like the ad revenue is just a small part of my income compared to tours, compared to the clan and all that sort of malarkey. Anyway, right, we're supposed to be answering Instagram questions here. So Instagram.com/TeapotOne or at TeapotOne Insta, I think is mine. And I'll leave Mark's tags down below as well. Tags, is that what the kids call them these days? Is that right?
Cool kids say.
Handle? Tags? Handle? The links, they'll be down there.
Yeah, let's be old-fashioned.
There is actually one question on the Instagram post. All the other ones are just people going, looking forward to you coming on. So, Hippodrome 24/7 for Mark. Do you think you'll be able to clean Angel Steps in winter on Pepper? And are you going to break me in September? I'm glad I'm cheating and bringing my skinny bike for our Devonshire Explore. You two are getting it on, are you? You're going to go and get dirty.
Yeah. So you know Pete, don't you?
Yeah.
He's been on. So, Pete, I need to clean it first in the freaking summer. Never mind. So Angel Steps is it's a really steep climb in mid Devon. It is cheeky. It's used as one of the, I think it's in the Land's End trial. It's either that or the Exeter trial, which is like a long distance trial. It's a 24-hour event. Right. One of my friends called Ken. If you've seen a guy in my videos with the original R80 GS, like the old school GS, beautiful bike. Ken's 70 years old and he goes off-roading by himself. So, and he's brilliant. It's like, he's just such a sound guy. He's taken me on all these trails, and I've tried Angel Steps, and Ken's cleaned Angels. No, I don't even think Ken's cleaned it. But he does the Land's End trial at 70 years old, and he's like I say, a 24-hour event on this old R80 GS. And so it's like, I'm not going to break Pete because that's not the way I roll. It's like, I want him to come out and enjoy himself and enjoy Devon. And he's cheating at the end of the day. He's coming on a little beta enduro bike. If I'm going to try and break somebody riding an enduro bike, imagine how hard it's going to be for me on a freaking GS. Yeah. So there might be some tricky trails, but if they're tricky for him, they're going to be freaking nightmare for me on a GS. But so I'd love to be able to do Angel Steps. Like I say, it's a really technical. It's a straight line pretty much, but it's slippy and it's bare rock and it's always wet. It's because it's like there's a stream run off into it near, like, from the farm, and underneath it's just sharp slate, and there's no traction. And I've done it. I attempted it twice on the GS in September last year, and it wasn't pretty. But I hadn't had that much experience then. And I've only really seriously been riding off-road on the GS for 12 months-ish. So if I can do it at all ever on the GS, then I'm ticking that box, and I don't care if I ever do it again. In the winter, probably not. And that's me being honest. It's like,
I'm assuming clean Angel Steps, he's talking about getting up there without putting your foot down. Is that what so he's not talking about like physically cleaning the steps?
No. So there's actually 0 steps. It's just an incline, and there's like rock. It's bedrock. Are you on protein shakes then?
No, it's like it's sugar-free orange squash.
Okay. So if I can do that, so yeah, cleaning it is a trials term for like not dabbing, putting your foot down. Gotcha. So if I can get up there for a start, that's a win. If I can get up there without touching my foot down to the floor, I'm retiring. It's honestly, Ken, who's been doing the off-roading I don't think he's seen anybody do it on a big bike as big as mine.
Well,
so if I do it, I'm going to give myself a big pat on the back, and I'm not going to break it. Sounds like a challenge, that, Mark.
Sounds like a challenge.
We should do it, Bruce. But no. No.
Yeah, but just no.
It's not the way I roll, Pete. So no, I'm not going to try and break you. But you are cheating on a little bike.
So you're doing that next month, September?
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks after the GS Challenge.
Gotcha. There is actually one more on Instagram. Exeter Rider 3. My question for Mark. What is the secret to getting nearly 4 million views on a video where all you do is walk around your bike?
be extremely good at walking around your bike.
This is it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've
Have you
had
seen that
4
video?
million views.
Have you seen it?
Oh, that's the one. That's the one where you're. It's the whole walk around the bike and hold it up with one finger. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So the amount of it. So extra rider. I wouldn't want a video that popular doing what I've done ever again because the amount of abuse I've had to sit through
Really?
is the amount of negative comments. It's like I don't care about them. But it's funny because at the end of the day, I filmed that video. I saw that video. Somebody had done it who was doing the GS trophy the year before.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
So a Mexican guy. I saw him do it and I'm like, I can do that. So I got my daughter to film me and I did it. And obviously at the end of it, I'd yeah, I've done it. And posted it on YouTube and Instagram, didn't think anything of it. And then all of a sudden, a week later, my phone was going crazy with like beeps, with like notifications. And it was going up. Every time I refreshed my phone, it was like 1,000 views. It was going up that fast. It was doing like 500,000 views like a day. It was ridiculous. And then it peaked on Instagram at like 6.9 million and YouTube at 3.9. So it's nearly 4 million views. But it's like people just making stupid comments and all the information was in the description box was, I saw somebody do this. I thought I'd give it a go. No reason for doing it. You don't need to do it. And this is what people like, why did you do this? Blah, 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 blah. Somebody's standing behind the bike holding it up. Surely I would have tripped over them. It was such random stuff. And then it got picked up by, you know how you sometimes get YouTube channels or Instagram channels that will share other people's content?
Uh-huh.
So
all the time, yeah.
So I had this, somebody had stole it at first. They'd stole it, put it on their channel, and obviously it was getting views. And one of the subscribers I've got he messaged me and said, have you seen this? So I messaged them and said, look, this is my video. I don't mind you sharing it, but come on, the owner, because you've done it to everybody else. And they didn't after a week. So I wrote on their Facebook or their Instagram post where it was. And I was like, look, dudes, this is mine. Just give me the correct credit. And somebody commented in that saying, so my best ever response, I think, to a video troll was, his comment was, why would you want credit for this rubbish video? And my answer was, why do you think your opinion matters to me?
They've still watched it and taken the time to go through the comments, haven't they? So
it's
people.
Yeah, Extra Rider, there was no, I have no idea how it got so popular. But one of the things is like everybody who commented, regardless of what it was, I commented back either thank you, thanks for watching, I'll just give them a thumbs up. So if somebody's watching it, the video is being watched on Instagram, isn't it? Because you can't pause an Instagram video. And therefore it just drives, any interaction drives the algorithm. So that's the only reason how it got so big, is like I participated in every single comment. Would I wish that on anybody? That kind of, like, say there's some just BS that people would write because they got a phone in front of them or whatever.
There's some utter dross in comments from people, isn't there?
So
there really is.
It was funny, but they got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to delete the video. Because I was like, honestly, I nearly did. I was like, well, no, don't do that but yeah, I nearly deleted the video. It just got a bit too much at one point with all the BS that was coming my way. So
you do sometimes have to do that. You do sometimes have to have a little break on social media, I think. Like, I've said it before. Sometimes I just go, "Oh, sorry, I've been away. I've just been busy." But when I go away on my tours and trips and stuff, that's probably the time when I should be posting on social media, when you're actually out there and doing it. But I sort of take it like I take the mindset of people have generally paid a chunk of money to come on one of my tours away with me, and I'm just like, it's not on for me to be sat in the cafe, the hotel, the bar, and be on my phone posting shite. Do you know what I mean? When I should be there invested with my customer base and what turns into being my mates. You know, like people generally, I tend to get a lot of repeat customers, so people become friends who've come away on the tours, getting all pink and fluffy with you. But you know, I just think I'd rather invest my time with that person, having a conversation with them, than just post some shite up on social media. You know what I mean? I'll do that. I'll do that after. I'll do that in 8 months' time when I eventually get around to editing the video. I'll start posting that stuff because it's a nice feeder into the vid as well. Then, isn't it? It builds up some appetite for the vid.
Sorry to jump in. It's like there's also that because you're a content creator. That's a horrible word. Because you make videos, it's like if you share too much, or if you share too much while you're doing it, it's like, well, what information? It's like, that's where I was really wary of with the ACT. It's like, if I share too much while I'm doing it, there'll be no need for a video series.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If does that make sense? Like,
yeah, people will be saturated by the time the vid comes out.
You've got to find a balance. And so what I tend to do is like a few photos each day from that day, because you're taking photos anyway. And then I might just post a couple of my favorite photos of the day, and that'll be about it. Day 2, ACT, and that would be it. So because then, like I say, I was with somebody else on the UK tour. I was with Andy. It's like I'm not one of these people who likes to spend time on my phone when I'm in other people's company. Yeah, no, I get you. So I fully understand what you're saying. So next question. Right.
I just realised there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 questions over on Facebook, so we need to crack on with them because we are nearly at 3 hours.
We're not mossy yet.
No, not yet. We'll head across to facebook.com/TeapotOne. First one, Curious Goose. Question for Mark. As your last subscriber ride was such an amazing time, will there be another, and will it be off-road orientated from the start? Also, being a trained motorcycle instructor, what 3 key points of advice would you give to learners looking to take the next step in their motorcycling journey? So, subscriber ride. Next one.
Angus, Curious Goose. Subscriber ride. So, yeah, I get massive anxiety about people not turning up for subscriber rides. It's like it's I don't know. It's like I feel like I make a video, I announce it, and I'm like, will anybody turn up? And I'm like, freak out about it. And and I'm like, if nobody turns up, I'm gonna feel like a dick. But then nobody's there to know that I felt like a dick. But then I've like told everyone I'm gonna do it, and it's like when we've had a really shocking summer, haven't we, in the UK? Yeah. It's like raid, and not everybody wants to ride in the rain, which is their bag. So there wasn't many people on my subscriber ride this time. So Angus has got Sinister Terrain 125, and I kept saying like we'll have to try and meet up to go off-roading because he wants to do off-roading. And like, so I got in touch with Ken, and Angus came, and we like, right, let's just go off-roading in North Devon. And Angus was like, yeah, I'm up for that. And so I think we didn't throw Angus in at the deep end. We sort of built. So Ken and I, Ken's like the expert. I'm just like somebody who filmed it. And we basically built lanes up, like made it harder and harder as we went along. And we ended up doing some really hard stuff. Stuff that I've never managed to do on the GS before. And Angus, bless him, he did really well. And it was a struggle for him at times because he dropped his bike a couple of times, but we're all going to drop our bikes. So I'd love to do something like that again. But as for doing a subscriber ride, me announcing a subscriber ride, saying it's going to be off-road, and then say 40 people turn up, which they won't, I would not want the responsibility of 4 people off-road. Yeah. So I'd rather, long story short, Angus, I'd rather just me and you meet up and we'll go off-roading, or I'll meet up with a couple of people, because doing a road ride, most people can ride on the road, and if you have to wait for them, it's fine. Generally speaking, most people don't fall off on the road. There's always going to be somebody falling off-road, and you've got to I would feel guilty, even though it's like, it's your own responsibility, you're riding your own bike. If you drop it, I'd feel somehow responsible for that, and I don't want that. if you break your bike and
No,
stuff.
I get that. I understand that.
No, I don't know if there'll be a and what three things. So what I find is with people who are coming from their learner bikes, they're 125s, and they want to go full license, is slow speed control is lacking. So the mod 1 is the first test. You have to pass mod 1 before you can do the road ride. Right. Most people with their clutch control. So first gear, whenever you're in first gear, you should be using your clutch to slip the clutch so the bike doesn't turn into it. Like, you know, when you roll the throttle on the bike and then
so it's not kangarooing.
Yeah. You need to have good clutch. You need to be slipping the clutch all the time to stop that from happening in first gear. People who, especially if they come from a car driving background, they don't use the clutch and then they wonder why they can't control the bike at slow speed. So good first gear clutch control. And these are nothing to do with riding the next two. Chill the fuck out. It's not a trick. There's no trick to passing your test. It's relatively easy passing your mod 1. It's just CBT on a big bike. If you tell yourself it's just CBT on a big bike, so you should be fine. And then the other one, again, it comes back to mindset. It's like, you've already passed your test until you make a mistake. The examiner doesn't want to fail people.
Right.
There's no, it's like you go in there with a blank sheet of paper. There's no X's, there's no marks on that piece of paper. It's up to you to put them on there. So listen to what your instructors have to tell you when you're training up to your test. You wouldn't be there if we didn't think you were ready. Before you go into the MMA, the motorcycle maneuvering area, the green box, the green cage where you do your actual mod 1, take a big deep breath before everything. Listen to what the examiner has to say. If you don't understand what it's told you, ask him to repeat. He will ask you to repeat. And then before you set off, observations, shoulder check, and do that. There's no rush. So again, passing your mod 1, it's not difficult. It's just CBT on a big bike. But it all comes down to, most of it is just mindset. Most people, from my experience, fail their mod 1 from knocking a cone over on the slalom or the figure of 8 because they've rushed into it, putting their foot down on a U-turn, and maybe not going fast enough on one of the other maneuvers. So the knocking the cone over is just slow down a little bit. Think about what you're doing. Because when down at Shore Pass rider training in Plymouth, it's like we teach everybody how to do it, and they'll be able to do it until you put them in the test center, and they've got a test freaks them out. So that's the biggest thing I can say. Just chill out, and you'll be fine.
I failed my first attempt at the DAS because I put my foot down on the U-turn, and to be honest, I'd never managed to do a single U-turn even before that. I just never did it, could never do it. So they just put me in for the test anyway, just on the day you'll do it. And I didn't. I literally dabbed my foot. I'd done the turn and I just dabbed my foot down as as you put the power on. Well, I plainly didn't put enough power on. So I just dabbed my foot and that was it down. So failed. So the second time that I did it, it was just like death or glory, that mentality again, just death or glory. And passed that time. But you're right. It's just having that mindset to take a deep breath and just chill. Just chill.
Yeah, when you do a U-turn, people don't look over the shoulder far enough. They're not looking. It's like, look where you want to go. You know about target fixation, don't you? Look where you want to go, not where the bike is pointing. And if you keep looking where you want to go on a U-turn, the bike will eventually come round. Yeah. You just got to, and it's like students will practice it over and over and over again before they end up at the test center. So it's like you've done it at the training area. It's the same. It's the same. And I know it sounds very easy for me. It maybe sounds easy for me to say that because obviously I've got a test license and I instruct people, but it's just the same as the test. The test is just like the training area.
Yeah.
Just you've got a different person watching you with a clipboard, and he wants you to pass. Wants you to be safe. That's it.
There you
That
go.
sounds fair.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Here's my trick.
Easy. Get on. Get it done.
The other thing I could say is, sorry, before is Angus, just when you feel like you're ready to do take the next step, phone Shore Pass down in Plymouth and get yourself booked in for an assessment, and they'll tell you where you're going wrong.
Well, there you go.
And there you go.
Who's that called again? Sure Pass.
Shore Pass rider training in Plymouth.
Right. Okay. Give them a shout, Angus. Just your question, pal, and best of luck with it. Ollie Wood, hi guys, hope you're both well. Mark, thank you for the ACT series. If you did it again, would you rather take a lighter bike? If so, which one? Or would you go on the GS again?
I would do it again on the GS in a heartbeat. It's like, because if I went on a lighter bike, it'd be too easy.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really conceited, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
no, but I get that. I've got that mentality as well.
It's like if I went on something more appropriate, it wouldn't be the same.
Where's the challenge?
So, yeah. So there were some challenging bits of that trip. There's some really challenging parts of that trip. But if I went on an enduro bike or a CRF 300 rally or a 250 rally or whatever, a lightweight dual sport, it would be too easy, or it'd be easy. Therefore, I probably wouldn't have the same emotional attachment to what I've just done. Mm-hmm. Same with when I did the Portugal one. It's like Matt, one of my friends called Matt, he says to me, it's like, wouldn't you have done it on a light bike? What if something went wrong? I was like, well, I would have figured it out. But it's like so many people said, well, you should do it on a lighter bike. And I'm like, well, it wouldn't be the same. It'd be easier, and I wouldn't have the same attachment. It's like you do on your world trip on a Jigsaw. If you did it on a 300 rally, you probably wouldn't have the same emotional attachment to it, and same memories. Like you wouldn't have. It wouldn't be the same, and it wouldn't have the same. You still look at that 300 rally in your garage and think, I travel around the world on that. But it's like, you look at your jigs and it's like, I traveled around the world on that. It's different, isn't it? And it's like,
and it still has the same impact on people who aren't aware of the trip when they hear about it or see any of the little teaser vids and stuff on social media. They're just like, nah, it's no way that bike will make it. You'll never do it on that bike. And then either me or somebody else replies and said, he did it 10 years ago, it's done. Like you can watch the whole thing and people are just like, they're gobsmacked, and I love that. I really like that, in that it's that whole, you can't do that. And then you just do it. Like, oh, and it's like it's pushing them. They're like, oh, hang on a minute. Oh, okay, maybe it's not as cut and dried as I thought it was. Other things are possible. Right, let's go for it. And I like, obviously it's not going to have that effect on everybody, but I like on some people, it's a case of them just going, oh, hang on a minute. You've done that. Well, I can do that. Because that's exactly what I was like when I saw like Jacques Lucasen had done it on the R1 and Nick Sanders had done it on the Fireblade and the R1 and all this. That's exactly what it did to me. I looked at those guys and just went, well, if you can do it, I can do it. Let's go for it. And I love that. Yeah. I'd love to think that somebody watches or hears about my trip on the Jigsaw and it has that impact on them. That's brilliant.
I'm exactly the same, mate. It's like, if X can do Y, why can't I do it? And if I can't do it now, what do I need to know, or how to get to do that? And it's like, that's the way I sort of like do what I do. It's like, okay, so X can do it. Why can't I do it? If I can't do it now, what do I need to know to be able to do it? And that's with everything.
But I have to be. Sorry, go on. Sorry, mate. Say that again.
There's no reason why people can't do anything. It's like, again, it goes back to, we're not all going to be Rossi. We're not all going to be Simon Pavey or Lyndon Poskett. But we could do what they're doing. We might not be the best at it, but there's no reason why we can't. Because at some point, Lyndon said, I'm going to race the Dakar. At some point, Simon Peavy said, I want to race the Dakar.
Yeah.
And it's like, they would be exactly where we are now. At some point in their life, they would have been where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Every world champion has been where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I have that mindset for certain things, but I'm not like that with everything. You know, I've said it before. I can be incredibly lazy about a lot of things. You know, just not engaged, not invested in a lot of different things. Take it or leave it. I'm not that fussed. But for the things that I am really invested in, you know, the things that really do grab me and I'm all in on, then it's like, right, this is happening. And I'll really focus on that, maybe to the detriment of a lot of other things. But yeah, it's just some things. When I get my teeth in it, it's happening. Other things I can just let go, no problems. Ollie also says, Bruce, when are we seeing you tackle the ACT on your GS? Well, I said that before. I think it's probably going to be about October time, maybe, I think, at the moment. I'm trying to arrange it with the TAM podcast lads, Clive and Noel. He says, keep up the great work, both of you, on YouTube and podcasts. The podcast keeps me distracted while jogging. Thank you. Well, thanks very much, Ollie. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed it.
Ollie, thank you.
Vladimir Gajorov. Hey, Bruce, keep up the good work as always. Question from Mark. How does one go from the best sports bike to the GS? What made him switch over to the dark side? Well, we covered that, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Just discovered the best bike in the world.
It wouldn't have been practical teaching CBT on a double R.
Joe, I think I remember doing my DAS, and I remember one instructor. It wasn't like an RR, but he had a sports bike of some kind. It might have been a CBR, like a 600 or something, but it was a sports bike. And I remember looking at it and thinking, Jesus. And I remember him showing us how to do the U-turn on the sports bike. And it was all about, you know, lean the thing over, and just, he was obviously doing it a lot quicker. Yeah, and boof, round he went, no problems. Matthew Constable. Mark's passion for motorcycling is infectious. He's always so enthusiastic about every aspect of riding. So no question, just got a fan. Andy Ginger Kent. Question for Mark. Who is your biggest...
Just going back to Matt. Sorry, just going back to Matt. Matt's the manager down at Shore Pass, and
oh, right.
He's a good bloke, and it's like, that's how I know him. So it's like, yeah, it's like, Angus, get in touch with Matt.
There you go, Angus. It's Matthew Constable. If you go to the Facebook where you left your question, read down through the comments. Matthew Constable's your contact there. Andy Ginger Kent. Question for Mark. Who is your biggest dirt inspiration? Remember, let's not fall out. Oh, so I take it you know Andy.
So, Andy was the guy on
the ACT with you. Yes.
Yeah, so to
on the
answer
GSA.
Andy's question, on the GSA. So to answer Andy's question, Charlie Borman. And of course, Andy. So Charlie Borman. So the funny thing is, like, there was a bit of a standing joke between me and Andy regarding Charlie Borman. So obviously, you know who Charlie is. Mm-hmm. Traveled around the world. Ewan McGregor attempted the Dakar. But it's like, if Charlie Borman, and I've never met Charlie, and this is no disrespect to Charlie, this is just a bit of banter. So if anybody tells Charlie, if anybody
tells you, you'll be listening to it.
So my attitude is like, and it's like, Charlie Borman has done these things. He's obviously a decent rider, but he's not a naturally gifted rider.
He's not a good rider.
It's not Simon Peavy, is he? He's not imposter. He is not Valentino Rossi, but he's a good rider. He can ride a motorcycle off-road. He travelled around the world, and if it wasn't for him and Ewan doing what they did, you probably wouldn't have done what you did. I wouldn't have bought a GS because I was having the same ambitions of traveling around the world after watching them pair riding around the world. And there's a lot of flack that them guys get for doing what they did. And there's, they had support, blah, blah, blah. Still have to ride the bikes.
Absolutely.
They still have to ride the bikes. And then Charlie turns up at the Dakar and he's, again, no disrespect to him, I personally feel like he talked himself out of finishing that race. Now I know he broke his hands, but I think he
Does
somewhere
he have
along the
two broken
line.
wrists?
Yeah, he broke his thumb and
Oh,
dislocated one thumb, broke another thumb, fingers. But I kind of think, and this is again no disrespect, and this is I kind of feel like he talked himself into that crash at some like not finishing because
mm.
his mind had gone and he was constantly. If you have you watched the video series or the
I
DVD
haven't. No,
series,
no, not that one. No.
he's kind of constantly talking about everybody's expecting me to fail and he feels
Oh,
like it's failing. It's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be hard for everyone who's doing it. It's like, but I mean, if I was in the same position, I'd be like, right, okay, everything's been paid for. I am finishing this Dakar.
mm.
It's like,
He defeated
I think,
himself
I think
mentally.
Charlie had mentally defeated himself. Therefore, and this sounds hairy fairy, but it's like, I think the crash was a manifestation of him where his brain was, if that makes sense. If you
Mm.
think negatively, eventually negative things happen to you.
Yeah, no,
Um,
yeah, I get that. I believe that. Yeah.
I'm not saying I could finish the Dakar. I'm not saying at all. I'm just like, but I feel personally that's the way I feel. But the guy's traveled around the world on a GS. He's done what he's done. He's done amazing things. So me and Andy were like at the bottom of the first lane. It's like Johnny Bullman can get that bike up there. I can
I'm
get a bike up
watching that. Yeah, yeah,
there. So that's where that comes from. So, but like Andy, so even though he's got the same last name, he's not. We're not related. So he's like my brother from another mother. Andy's a good rider. He's finished fifth in the GS Trophy one year. He's
Wow.
been riding off road for 20 years. So having him, even yes, there was brilliant because I was like, if he can get that GSA up that hill, then I can.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to if somebody else can do it, I can see it can be done. How do I do it?
Mm.
But yeah, so Andy, thumbs up to you, mate, for getting that thing around and doing what we did on that bike. And neither of us fell off, which for me is amazing. But I haven't really got a off-road inspiration because I got into off-roading late. If that makes sense. I admire people who can do stuff like
Mm.
Lyndon. Lyndon's obviously really good at what he does, and I admire that.
Yeah.
Simon Pooley, I admire that. Neil Hawker, who works
Mm.
for the off-road skills course, Poltars. It's like when I see people who do amazing things, I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
What about
Um,
outside of biking then? What about in life in general? Have you got like someone who inspires you or did inspire you in life?
I don't know. It's difficult.
Mm.
There's been certain people who I've like looked up to in certain aspects of my life. It's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I've got a proper answer to that question. It's like if I
Mm.
see somebody who's really good at something, even if they're unknown, it's like sometimes you'll see somebody in the street busking and you think, Flippy can play the guitar
Mm.
or
Mhm.
that person can sing. I admire talent regardless of whether it's recognized by the general
Absolutely.
public or not.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and it's like I've seen people do amazing things, and it's like, but I don't know if I've got somebody that I look up to um, as an inspiration for my life, if that makes sense.
Mhm. No, I get that.
Um,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
I try
Um,
to be I try to be that for my daughter and my son.
yes.
Like, so
Yeah.
I want to try and set a good example for them. It's like working hard and chasing your dreams,
Hmm.
and like you will suffer in life and things will be hard. But if you work at it and if you have a plan and if you practice, you can get good at it.
Hmm.
So I don't,
I,
I don't know.
I totally relate to you with that because that's part of what I wanted my world trip to be. I wanted it to be an example to my boy, to my son, of exactly that. Of exactly if you have a dream, if you focus on it and you work at it and you never give up, then you can make your dream happen. You can make it a reality. And I don't know if it ever did that to him. I really don't know. He's like 26 now, actually. we're hopefully going to be going away and doing like a father-son sort of camping week together. So because we've not seen each other in quite a few years now. So yeah, that'll be cool. I hope that happens this year. That'll be cool to do something like that.
Has he got a motorcycle license now?
No. He doesn't even drive. No.
So
just he's part of that generation where they're just not that fussed.
How are you going to facilitate the trip? Are you going to go on the bike, or are you going to get a car? Or
I think he thinks I will come up with my wife's car. My wife's got a big estate. I might even take the dog. If I do take the car, I might take the dog and we'll just go up. Or I might just take the bike. I might just, I can't do it to him and turn up on the Gixxer, because the last time he was on the back of that, I think he was about 11, 12, and it brought him to tears. So, but we could do it. It would be quite cool to do it on the tractor, on the GS. Just have him on the back.
So a few weeks ago, I got a hiking rucksack and everything, all the camping gear. Took my daughter and we went camping, and we just went hiking and then camped. What about doing something like that? Yeah,
that would be quite cool. He's into all that. He is into his camping and his sort of outdoor.
Camping. Yeah, backpacking trip.
That would be quite cool to do something like that.
Somewhere. So you can park the bike out and go camping in like Cairngorms.
That's not a bad idea, Mark. Yeah. I'll have to see if he actually replies to any of my messages, then we'll see. Anyway, you mentioned Charlie Borman. Again, if anyone knows Charlie, if you happen to be listening, I would love to chat to you on here, mate. So let's make that happen. And the last one, Jock Bell, former bootneck, never an ex. Oh, that's because I put ex bootneck in the description. I do apologise.
Once the Marine Olds.
Absolutely. Dude, that is it. We have gone through all questions. It's just over 3 hours, man.
Wow, I didn't think I could talk that much.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was looking and I thought, I was looking at the clock as we were going through it, and I thought, we'll hit about 2.5, I think. We can do 2.5 on this. Straight over 3 hours.
We haven't even talked about the ACT and your questions.
I know. Oh, Christ, I know. Well, I'll be blunt with you. I'm knackered. It's my bedtime coming up soon.
Just drop me a message, Bruce.
Definitely. I've still got to finish watching. You've still got another one to come out, haven't you? Is that tomorrow? Did you say? Saturday. Right. Okay.
Yes.
I've got 2, 3, and 4 to watch. So I'll do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing them. Hopefully this year.
No, definitely do it. Just get some proper, at least 50-50 tires on the bike, because I think you're running Dunlop Trail Maxes or something, aren't they?
I've got Dunlop Meridians on there at the moment.
You want something that's got some bite, because it will get slippy and you will need some proper off-road traction.
My plan is to do it on Dunlop's new, is it Raid Max or Rail Max? They're 50-50 tires, those new ones that have come out. I thought that'd be a perfect sort of test for them, because obviously there's a fair bit of road involved in it anyway, plus you have to ride to the start point and ride home from the end point.
You planning on camping?
I haven't got that far, to be honest. Not sure.
The biggest thing is go as light as possible. It's we had soft panniers. I didn't have a top box. I had a tail pack, which just had my drone in, and a roll bag. So I had a 40-litre roll bag that I had all my camping gear in, 24 litres. So each soft pannier was 12 litres each, and I had just enough to last me. So go as light as possible. If you've got a metal pannier, you haven't got metal panniers, I know that, but as light as possible, and some kind of proper off-road tires.
Yeah, I'd probably go same setup like I had in Morocco, to be honest. Same things, just a roll box, a roll bag, and then I'll have the top box on this one, a rucksack. That'll be it. Gosh, job done. Cool. Right, dude, before we go, now's your time to plug a channel, plug websites, plug anything you like, or shout out time, whatever you want.
Shout outs to my daughter Evie and my son Isaac. Love you millions. My daughter will watch this.
Hi,
Shout
Evie.
outs to to Short Pass Rider Training. Thanks for all the support that you've given me. Every single person who watches my videos, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to do that. And massive thank you to all my subscribers, especially Charlie, because Charlie, Chunky Bearded Biker. So I listened to your podcasts, but I hadn't got round to listen to the Mossy one where you mentioned me, and therefore I listened to it earlier than planned, which has led to this conversation. But everyone who comments and basically leaves positive feedback, thank you for that. Every thumbs up, thank you. It sounds a bit cheesy, but if it wasn't for these people, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. So
Absolutely,
thank you
yeah.
for everyone who's led to this day. So, and thank you to you for inviting me along.
Mate, my pleasure. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on and having a chat. It's been really interesting finding more about you, because we've sort of only ever really met physically in passing, really, haven't we? When you've come to a couple of the rides and stuff, and we've never really had a proper full on chat like this. So yeah, it's nice to find out more about you. Absolutely, we will do something. Either I'll come down. Well, you don't want to come here to the southeast because it's shite, but I'll come down your neck of the woods, or we'll maybe even do a bit of green laning or something. You never know. I'll get the new GS out, and we'll.
I'm all up for that, mate.
We'll get it in the dark. Nice one, folks. I will leave all Marc's links down below for the YouTube channel, for all his socials. If you've enjoyed this one, make sure you check that out. Give him a like, a follow, subscribe, all the rest of it, and tell all your mates. Right, folks, from me, hope you've enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for listening. If you have the option to review it or like it or share it, please do. And all that's left to say is get on out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. What's the last part? I've forgotten. I always do this.
Something about living your life.
There is that. Look after those that you love. Get out there whenever you can. But most importantly, can't believe I forgot that. Live your life. Woo-ha! What a nugget. I can't believe I forgot that.